Hello and welcome to week 3 of Giant Slayer's Fight Night Legends, brought to you by Juked.gg. Find all your esports in one place over on Juked! Point Legends in the chat to find out more information. As always, I'm your host Casanova, and with me as always is the voice of Draven, real life voice actor Blevins.
For legal reasons, I'm not actually the real life voice of Draven, but I can do a pretty good one.
All right, Blevins. So once again, we've got another Fight Night Legends, and a lot of people still a little bit new to the tournament. We've only had 3 of them so far, so let's go ahead and break down the format for what these players are going to be doing tonight.
Yeah, so this is going to be an 8-player double elimination bracket. All of the matches that we're going to be seeing tonight are best of 3. Every player has brought 2 decks, and there's no region overlap, and also open deck list. So all the players know exactly the decks that they're going to be playing against. And to win a match, player has to win with both of their decks. Now, if we see a bracket reset in the grand finals, we will see another additional best of 3 there. But the players are going to be playing for their share of the $200 prize pool, with the breakdown down below on the screen. So, Casa, we've got a nice list of players. Let's take a look at some of them.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check out this lobby for today. We've got the returning champ from last week, Gvuardya from Team Aretuza, going up against Topher, who recently just won a Jam Fest. After him, we've got Yatsuba versus Bruised by God, both previous tournament winners. Yatsuba winning Runeterra for Change, BBG winning both DORs and Jamfest, one of the most prolific winners in LOR history right now. Winding God to follow that up against Szychu. Winding God, of course, you know who he is. He's been in both fight nights. This is his third in a row, as well as having that 3-win DOR streak, going up against Szychu, a previous Heroes of the Storm pro from before even my era, played on G2 Esports, and now he's one of the most popular Polish players in the game. LORRattlingBones versus 4LW to round that out. And, 4LW been grinding, doing extremely well. Very strong Brazilian player that has been dominating the ladder on the Americas server and recently been doing extremely well in tournaments. On top of that, only falling to Topher in the recent Gemfest. LORRattlingBones, consistent top 8 player, and has been fighting for that number 1 spot in NA on the ladder consistently this season, especially popularizing Ezreal TF as a ladder deck.
Yeah, LORRattlingBones, I believe has hit number 1 a couple of times. I mean, with the new system, players are vying for it. It seems like every morning I wake up to a new tweet about how they've hit rank 1, and by the time I finish reading it, someone else has caught them. So it's really a heated challenge for rank 1 on any given server. LORRattlingBones has definitely been in the mix there.
All right, but for our featured matchup in round 1, we, of course, want to try and grab a match that we're very excited about. And the one we're especially excited about for round 1 is going to be that Winding God versus Szychu matchup. Szychu, of course, we talked about him a little bit, Polish player. He is very, very talented. He's done extremely well across tournaments since open beta. Originally a Heroes of the Storm pro back on G2 early on in the game's timeline. But, we see that favorite archetype, control/meme, and, meme really stands out because the Madman brought a Poro list. The Madman brought a Poro list this week. Braum, Lux, Poros, 3x Aurora Borealis. I mean, I don't know what to say about this, Blevins.
I don't either, because when in the pre-show we were talking about, you're going, we absolutely need to watch this match. I'm like, oh, great, yeah, we want to see Winding God. Won the first week of Fight Night Legends. Came back from the losers bracket and ended up in the finals of last week's Fight Night Legend, and is the only player to have played in all 3 Fight Night Legends. Like, we absolutely want to see this match. No. Has nothing to do with Winding God. It has to do with this Poro deck being brought to an invitational top level tournament. I mean, I'm at a loss for words, but Szychu clearly, absolutely meant it when he said, we are going to be playing, I want to play a meme deck. Holy crap.
Yeah, and we On top of that, of course, his opponent, Winding God, should not need introduction, but we'll introduce him anyway. Winding God, of course, 3-time DOR, back-to-back champ. He's been a 4-time finalist there as well. Always makes top 8. On top of that, he has been in all 3 fight nights so far. Incredibly strong player. We'll see if he can continue the streak, as of course the top 2 players in Fight Night are invited back for the next week. Winding God, first place in week 1, second place week 2. We'll see if he can continue on that streak. But Winding God this time around has changed up his lineup. He ran that Weiheimer plus the Ash Sedge in weeks 1 and weeks 2. But in week 3, we will see Winding God bring a different approach. This one going after the Karma Ezreal decks with an aggro Bannerman list alongside Sejuani MF. So the aggro Bannerman, this is a little bit spicy though, because we're used to Zed Lucian, we're used to these kind of things, but this is Zed Quinn.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So I actually played a deck that was very, very similar to this yesterday on stream, and it was almost card for card. It was a little bit different, but it was the Zed Lucian, not the Zed Quinn. We see Zed Lucian, we see Quinn MF, we see MF Lucian, but we very rarely see Zed Quinn. So very interesting. And this is like a textbook style of Winding God deck where, you know, there's nothing really super flashy here, right? Like back-to-back is maybe not the most common choice, but it's a common one. Of Concerted Strike again is another one that's all right. A single combat, you know, keeping the flavor police alive. One card I want to note here that I personally I think the value of it skyrocketed in the meta is Ranger's Resolve. We see a 3x in the deck. It is amazing against all of these Withering Whales and Anivias, and there's a lot of things.
Static Shock, right?
Static Shock, exactly. There's so much that does 1 damage, and it's tough to always play around the Ranger's Resolve if you're on the opposite side of it.
For me, the coolest thing about that deck list is the fact that it runs the Quinn instead of the Lucian, which opens up the slot of Senna. Normally, when you run Lucian, you'll need to slot in 3x Senna as well. By not running Lucian, it feels more comfortable to take out the Sennas, look for a card that you would prefer in the meta, something like a Laurent Protégé, the 4 HP stat line. We've talked about 4 toughness being a great breakpoint. I think Laurent Protégé is incredibly strong, and it'd be interesting to see how this works out. But right now, we got Szychu versus Winding God. We've got both mulligans up right now. We see on the bottom side, Lonely Poro and Braum going to be there for Szychu. I think that's exactly what he wants to see, but this is a great curve on the other side for Winding God as well. So this is going to be an interesting start. Winding God's perspective going in, but we've got that Szychu hand on the top side. Open Hawk for 1. It's going to be a good setup for Winding God.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested to see what one I guess Winding God's on even attack, so it doesn't really matter. I'm very interested. Would Winding God go for the Jagged Butcher here or the Omen Hawk if it was attacks on 1 here? But yeah, I mean, this is exactly what you want if you are Winding God here. You want to have a 1-drop into a 2-drop into an MF, and then, you know, from there the pressure is absolutely on. You know, Szychu does have the 2 Brahms, which can put a damper onto that plan, but as it stands, Winding God is going to have a pretty aggressive draw and be able to put a lot of pressure on Szychu.
Yeah, I think Winding God has a very, very good draw, but this is triple Braum. So not only does he have the first Braum, but Szychu can develop the Braum, try and trade into something, and then develop that Braum's Take Heart, and suddenly he is an immovable object for Winding God to get through, and he has to find his way around the Braum. But Szychu's single Braum might be able to just run away with the game because he's going to be able to develop Braum plus Braum's Take Heart all on the same turn on this upcoming turn 4.
Yeah. And notably here, I'm looking at Winding God's list. There's only 6 spells in the deck, period. There's 4 Fury of the North and 4 Warning Shots. Those aren't really dealing with a Braum at all. I mean, Fury of the North kind of does, but Oh, yeah. So this Braum is basically going to be going uncontested. So, I mean, Winding God does have a very aggressive hand, but it's going to need to be extremely aggressive with the Braum, the wall of Brahms that's being put up by Szychu.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one answer that Winding God may have that he can use is he does have this Razor Scale Hunter in hand. That is that 5 mana 4/4 that applies vulnerable. What he can do is he can vuln the Braum, and if he finds the potentially Fury of the North, he actually will have a way to remove it, but that's still very difficult, and steals a Porosnax, which honestly, that's not a great steal, because even though it denies Szychu, it doesn't really deny him. It's bottom of the deck. Szychu is never going to draw it, and it's a worthless card in your hand. It's absolutely worthless.
I was just talking about, as a meme, mind you, about playing bad cards in your deck specifically to counter Nab. And I was kidding, but Szychu is found a way. Nab is not good when your opponent takes a Porosnax.
Yeah, Nab is terrible. Szychu running a meme deck, and he's memeing Winding God by giving him a Porosnax. He's like, here, buddy, have a treat. Have a little one on the house. It's just not what Winding God wanted to see here. He needed to find something to help him deal with the Braum. He needed to find Concerted Strike. He needed to find back-to-back. He needed to find Fury of the North, single comp, something, anything, not Porosnax.
No, absolutely not Porosnax. And now Szychu knows that the vulnerable is placed on the Braum, so debating, does he want to develop the Braum's Take Heart now?
Yeah, I feel like Take Heart's so good here.
You have to, right? Because the razor scale is actually threatening to kill the Braum otherwise, because you can't take heart if they're going to kill the Braum initially, right? There's no window in between where Braum can survive and then take the damage if a 5/5 is attacking him. So yeah, develops the take heart now, and like we mentioned, this 4/8 Braum is just, it's not going to die. Okay. Oh boy.
And he's got the single combat, so he can deal with the misfortune, or he's going to deal with the Razor Scale Hunter, get rid of the scout that is on the table.
Yep. Yeah, I think Szychu correctly sees that the only way that Winding God can actually even interact with the Braum is with something like Fury of the North or a card that was stolen. So just get rid of the big just get rid of the big unit now, so he doesn't have to worry about it.
Okay, so now Winding God is on the strat of, let's try and move this Braum away and go wide and swing in with everything else. So we'll see him probably pull the Braum with the hired gun and go in with as much as he can, try and create a lot of pressure. But Szychu, he's got Concerted Strike, he's got back-to-back, he's got a lot of tools here to help himself out. And I think Szychu's got to be feeling fairly comfortable with the situation here. This is kind of looking like a back-to-back turn to clear away multiple units, can get rid of the Sejuani, can get rid of the 3/3 Jagged Butcher.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to be perfectly fine with that. Granted, the Mighty Poro does die because of the Misfortune attack.
So does the Elusive Poro.
Yep. So not a very wide board anymore for Szychu, but that's the whole turn for Winding God. And the 7/11 Braum is open all night to kill this Misfortune, and there's nothing that Winding God can do about it.
Yeah, it can come get your Mighty Poros and your Porosnax 24/7 at the 7/11, which is now now it's an 8/12, but still.
We got the joke in there while it was relevant. Another card nabbed from Szychu that just does nothing against this Braum.
Yeah, I mean, the Remembrance is like, it's kind of cool to play this 4-mana Remembrance right now and get a 5-drop out for 4. I mean, that seems great and all, but like you said,
it
doesn't deal with Braum. And that is, that's the name of the game right now, is dealing with this Braum, but at an 8/12, I'm not sure it's actually even possible for Winding God to deal with it anymore. He has to go around Braum.
Yeah, I think that under normal circumstances, the way to deal with this type of board for Winding God would be to set up a Riptide Rex turn, right? But guess what? There is 8 points of fat on or sorry, 12 points of fat on Braum that is going to absorb so many of those Riptide Rex triggers that Riptide Rex doesn't even really look that good here.
More Poro cards for Winding God. Who's running the Poro deck now?
Okay.
Takes the Aurora Borealis.
At least relevant now, and turns on the other Poro snacks too.
Right. It'll allow him to actually get some Poros on board that will be buffed by the Poro snacks.
Yep. I don't know if I've ever seen Plunder Poro actually have abilities.
Yeah, I feel like when I do, they're abilities that don't matter, like regeneration.
Ooh.
On a 1/1.
On a 1/1, yeah.
Okay, we've got a couple warning shots in hand for Winding God and the ability to create kegs with petty officers. So if he can get a little bit more damage down, there's some cute little lethals that Winding God can sneak out.
There is, but notably, Szychu knows that these both of these warning shots are in hand because they were generated off of the allegiance spells for Winding God. So it's not like Szychu's going to die out of nowhere to these warning shots. Now, maybe if a third one or fourth one is drawn, then we could possibly get to that scenario. But as it stands, it's just another thing to play around for Szychu.
Yeah, the only thing that he doesn't know about is the ability to generate kegs, but he'll find that out before. It's not going to be a surprise. It'll just be like, oh, there's kegs now. These do more damage.
Right. And another attack from Winding God, resulting in zilch in terms of damage. Winding God's board slowly getting taken out piece by piece, and Szychu's not putting on a lot of pressure right now, but neither is Winding God anymore. Like, this Citrus Courier could be scary if he had a very wide board and could push through, but it's just not happening.
Yeah, I mean, soon enough, we will see Winding God pressured because this is a leveled Braum on the board, and we will be seeing that onslaught of Mighty Poros. Even though there haven't been any Poro snacks or Aurora Borealises for Szychu, he does just have time to chill out and generate some Mighty Poros, get some boys to help block, and it is going to be very hard for Winding God at this point. He's considering, he plays the Poro snacks, he's going for the Aurora Borealis.
Yep. Szychu with the exclaiming jinx. Saying, you stole my Poros, you monster. Oh, and the sad Poro as well. Oh, so sad.
Maybe we could get an elusive Plunder Poro here?
Okay. Yeah, Plunder. I joked about Plunder Poro before, but when you have warning shots in your deck already, could we... There's no way that we see Szychu with the Poro deck lose to his own Poros, right? There's no way that happens. Probably
not. I couldn't imagine something like that. This is our attempt at a Caster's Curse right now, seeing a Poro.
I'm trying to Caster's Curse.
But,
see, here's the thing. Here's how you counter Yugi. Yes, Yugi's grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards. But if I'm playing pathetic cards and he steals them, then Yugi has no effect. His Millennium Puzzle is useless.
Yes, of course. Your grandfather's deck may have no pathetic cards, but mine sure does.
But mine sure does, Yugi boy.
Oh, God. No.
That is something that Pegasus would do because he's playing Toon World and you can't even play the tunes. Okay, we're not getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore.
Yeah, we're getting deep lore here.
Yeah. We're seeing...
Riptide Rex. I mean, it's like, how good is it even? It's just kind of not.
It fills the board with Mighty Poros, doesn't it?
Right, it does. It just, I mean, Plunder Poro, elusive
and Scout.
Fearsome, regen. It's always regen. Okay. I don't know why. It's just has a bias, I guess.
It's guaranteed.
But yeah, I mean, okay, so you clear 2 Mighty Poros, generate 2 Mighty Poros.
You do nothing. Good day, sir. Absolutely nothing happens here. Yeah. A couple of points of damage, right? To killing the Mighty Poros. But, I mean, Riptide Rex was not played there to try to wipe the board. It was I want a 7-4 out, and maybe I get lucky and clear something.
Yeah, and there's a Radiant Guardian down on the board as well. This is This is pretty brutal. If he had hit Braum one more time, there was potential for removal, but we know Szychu has plenty of protection available, and it was doomed from the get-go here. I'm surprised we haven't seen Winding God scoop this yet. I mean, we've seen him do it in the past when he gets in spots like this.
Right.
And it has been, I think he's just kind of, okay, well, there we go.
Well, he crunched the numbers and was like, yeah, no, that's not.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we do see Winding God end up scooping it. It is going to be a pretty doomed situation. I guess not until that Radiant Guardian came down was it really fully doomed. There was potential for him to find face damage here and there and try and chip away at Szychu, but this is going to be a 1-0 lead. The Poro deck coming out, gets his first win of the night, and now the remaining list from Szychu is Spooky Karma, which is great against Winding God's aggro lineup. So this somehow, this Poro lineup ends up being so good at countering the counter lineup that Winding God brought for PNZ Ionia, because that was the target from Winding God's decks. If we're looking at it, it looks to target the Karmas, the Heimer Vise, and Szychu's gone to level 3, as you like to put it, where he targets the target. And, well, it looks like he's in a good position to start this out with a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, bringing Heimer Vi, aka Pinky in the Brain, or Karma Ezreal, that's merely 4-head. Winding God is on a 5-head level, where if you're bringing that, I'm going to beat you. But Szychu is going full Galaxy Brain and saying, you know what? I know people are going to try to beat level 1. This isn't any run-of-the-mill tournament. This is Fight Night Legends. It's got legends in the name. There's going to be players trying to beat the system here. I'm going to beat the players who are trying to beat the system. Or either that, or he just wanted to play Poros because it's a meme deck.
Yeah, he might. I mean, we're going to say that he just had the Galaxy Brain take here, that people are going to counter Ionia PNC. He's going to counter them. His lineup still has reasonable matchups there against the second decks that people are bringing. So we're going to go with the Galaxy Brain take. But honestly, knowing Szychu, he might have just wanted to play Poros.
You heard it here first, folks. Poros equal Galaxy Brain.
Yes.
But we see here, I mean, you can just take a look at Szychu's hand. It is nothing but removal and late game, and life gain spells, removal, and whammies. And all of those things are quite good against the aggro lineup of Winding God here.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of neat from Winding God stealing the box, as it does answer Karma's pre-enlightened. So that is kind of cute, as it can surprise Szychu, but Szychu's on double Karma Rekindler hand, so he's pretty chill with that whole situation. And he does have he's got the ability to play the box to clear away MF as well. I do think, even though it's a 1 mana minus trade, as far as the value of the card that you're getting rid of, generally that 1-for-1 is going to be worth. But potentially we see, this looks like a Will of Ionia being hovered. He's questioning it. I guess if you go for that, it's like saying, I want to try and get more value from the box on a turn where you develop multiple units. And there's definitely merit to that kind of idea.
I think it's reasonable. The box is going to get you a 1-for-1 guaranteed, which is certainly fine. Although I guess it could get a Fury of the North here, because I think if Winding God had Fury of the North, he probably would cast it there to save Misfortune. So it's going to at least get one card here. The Will of Ionia essentially would be setting up for the box to get more cards worth, and effectively gain you a little bit of life. So Szychu playing the more, I would say, the safer route and just taking the box and getting your value out of it when you can.
Yeah, and I mean, this is so interesting to see. I mean, Szychu's whole lineup feels designed to beat Winding Gods. It just feels so difficult for Winding God to find purchase right now with anything onto the board. Thresh comes down, answers everything here. I mean, of course, it's going to be a wide board, and Winding God's going to use this vulnerable from the hired gun to try and pull the Thresh to the side, push some damage. But in general, I mean, we see Grasp, another thing that lines up well into a lot of these units because most of them are 3 HP. Whale going to be able to heal additional health later on. I mean, overall, everything seems very good for Szychu, and it's going to come down to the pressure of why he does have the cards he needs to maybe find this win, right? We look and we see Sejuani, Citrus Courier, Riptide Rex, all of the top end. That is exactly what Winding God needs to try to beat this by making it so there's too many big threats that don't die to the small removal. And that's his only shot. But this hand is winnable.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, Winding God has been the sort of master of the timing attack, where he knows he's not going to necessarily win super quick in most of these matchups. He's not going to win the late game, so he knows he has to win at a very specific point in the game. And this hand certainly can set that up. Going to be able to put a lot of pressure on with the Sedge. The Citrus Courier can come out of nowhere. And then, of course, the Riptide Rex needs no introduction. He's able to end a game extremely quickly, and he has the warning shot already to set it up.
I will say, I think I really hated that play from Szychu. I think that Will of Ionia tempo loss that you got there and the loss of mana, I don't feel like that could be worth it. To me, this next turn, you would just play Rekindler. It's turn 7. You have banked spell mana. You develop 2 units immediately. That feels way better tempo-wise. And now, Szychu's put himself on the back foot where he doesn't have a lot of banked spell mana, and he has no board whatsoever. So now, Winding God has the opportunity to go for a pretty large open attack. It is representing 8 damage. And then, you know, there's potential for a lot of punishes via the MF Sedge list that is running Citrus Courier, that is running Riptide Rex. Like, this gets very scary. And it might just be game right now. Rekindler can eat up all the Riptide hits, but I don't know if we can get around there with the Citrus Courier potentially.
Citrus Courier, so I think it's just
Citrus Courier gets around.
Right?
Yeah, Citrus Courier gets around.
Deals 5, and there's no additional life gain. That's just game. If Winding God goes for it, that's just Citrus Courier just does it. Block 7, 5 gets through. Yeah,
I think the defensive will actually seriously hurt Szychu. I think it put him very, very far behind. As far as tempo, he should have been able to have a little bit more mana on this turn to be able to play spells and protect himself. And I think this does open up just the victory for Winding God to tie this up 1-1. And now this has become a set, because even though I think Szychu is still favored in this final matchup against the Demacia list with his Spooky Karma, it just takes one brick draw and one rally, and this game can be over.
That's the beauty of Rally, is that, yes, the Will of Ionia play, from our perspective, obviously seeing both hands and knowing the matchups, it seems a little bit wonky, but in a vacuum, it's not the worst play, right? Thresh is a very strong card, but because of Rally, that throws off the game clock, right? Szychu probably thinking he has an extra turn in here somewhere, so if he can develop the Thresh, he's actually in a very good position. But the Citrus Courier pushes that game clock forward immediately and ends the game as such.
All right, so a Ranger's Resolve for Winding God already, so that's something for us to immediately kind of keep our eyes on. He's passing on 1 as well, so the mana will be there. Does have this Zed available on top of probably a turn 2 War Chefs. Wow, this hand's pretty nice. It's not incredible at getting wide super early, but he's going to develop a lot of very kind of chunky boys, for lack of a better word here. To really go for some aggressive lines early on. He's going to force out a box immediately with this Zed coming down. Yeah, this is pretty nice of a start for Winding God.
Yeah, I was curious if Winding God was going to develop the Protege instead because of the box specifically, but I think you just make your opponent have it, because if they don't have it there, if they're relying on something like a grasp, or grasp would still kill, but if they're relying on something else, then all of a sudden the game is over very quickly if the Zed level's there.
Right. So if, for instance, that double Vile Feast in hand was the only answer that Szychu had, and he went for that, Ranger's Resolve comes down, and the game is like in a very bad spot. Obviously, you
Right.
could chump with the spiders, but still, it suddenly puts Szychu on such a back foot. In this scenario, the box was a good answer, but still positive 1 mana for Winding God, and he's going to start to be able to develop a fairly wide board here with the Ranger's Resolve available to protect it.
Yep. And notably, I mean, you would probably never play Ranger's Resolve there on your War Chefs, but it might be a little bit of a signal to Szychu that, okay, it doesn't have Ranger's Resolve. Or at least it's not a sign that says he absolutely does, right?
Right.
So, all right, the Thresh coming out again. And here, Thresh is quite good. I don't think... And you can pull it with the Protege, which is nice, but the rest of Szychu's board is also still just bricking what Winding God is putting out. So not going to be a ton of damage put forth from Winding God here. And on the swing back, Thresh is going to be able to eat Zed or whatever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, at least the Thresh will trade, theoretically, because Winding God can actually put a good amount of damage onto the Thresh by buffing up the Laurent Protégé to a 3/5. It does make it a little bit better on that trade. It looks like Chefs instead of Brightsteel Protector, so just trying to make the Zed potentially more threatening. Potentially both Zeds get chump blocked at the end here, so yet another Vile Feast going to come out.
Yep. Vile Feast is going to come out basically just to put another blocker down, and I think Winding God is just going to be casting this. Is essentially priced into casting the Ranger Resolve anyway. You're not really surprising Szychu with anything later, so it might as well deny the 1 healing from the Vile Feast there.
Yeah, the 1 healing can matter, and also it affects these blocks from the 1/1s because they are priced into blocking. So now they don't actually get any value. Of course, they wouldn't have gotten value on the Zeds anyway, but likely they wouldn't have blocked both Zeds. Instead, they would have blocked a single Zed.
Right.
Now they just block both because no damage can be dealt anyway.
Yep. So now it's Thresh. I mean, all things considered, Szychu's at 12, doesn't have any life gain spells, but does have life gain units, has the late game with Rekindler and Karma, has a Mist's Call, so even if this Thresh dies here, is going to be able to bring it back immediately if he wants.
Yeah, there was the option for Winding God to go for a Concerted Strike, but he wouldn't have been able to go for Redevelopment on this turn. It would have been his whole turn against Szychu with full mana. It would have been very risky to go for that. So now this is just Winding God being like, okay, I'm going as wide as possible, and we're going to do our best to try and finish out this game. And a Relentless Pursuit is a very good pickup.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, that Grasp is going to really put and the Rekindler. The Rekindler putting a full board up is going to be a pretty big damper into Winding God's plans here. But is able to attack, get maximum value out of the War Chefs here.
There is some serious game here for Szychu. Not for Szychu, for Winding God. He has the Concerted Strike plus Rally available in this turn. Szychu is tapped out of having Deny Mana.
Right.
So this is now something that can absolutely happen. He's going to lead with it. Go for the attack. Potentially we'll see Rally on this turn as well.
I think we have to, right? There's just not really... I mean... The double Thresh is just going to eat away the board, especially since the first Thresh ended up dying, so they're not super close to leveling here. But I think if it goes back to Szychu's turn with any semblance of a board, it's just not going to be great for Winding God.
Yeah, and you know, Winding God knows how bad this matchup is because there is a 1x ruination, and Winding God on this turn where that could have come down just developed with no other cards pretty much available in hand. So Winding God knows his conditions here. He ignores basically anything that Szychu is going to do, and he just goes all in. And there's potential here. I'm trying to calculate. I don't know.
6.
Does Winding God just win? I think he does. I think he wins here.
Yep.
Which
he does, of course.
Yeah,
he kills the Thrushes because he just makes the same exact attack.
Exactly, but now the spiders will be gone.
And it's
on
6 and 6, right?
Yeah,
it's 6 and 6. That's it. Classic Winding God pulling a, because like there's nothing splashy going on here. It's just Winding God knows that this is the win condition. I need to win here. I can put forth lethal. If he has something like a Vile Feast, okay, I probably lose or I don't win here.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sorry. I'm like just trying to confirm, but I think he absolutely does win here because the chefs can buff other things as well, and then you pull.
Well, he doesn't even need to, right? He just if he makes this. He can.
Yeah. He'd still do 6. He'd still do 6. But yeah. You're correct. Yes. Yeah, he absolutely has the same
exact attack if he wanted to. But yeah, pulls the Thrushes, and then that's it. Szychu can block 3 power, takes 3, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, he's got it.
See, there's no response.
So Winding God, even against a lineup that feels made to beat his, somehow manages to pilot things fairly perfectly. I mean, impeccably. Yeah. And Szychu doesn't find the answers. He doesn't find the draws that he needs. And Winding God, not having any holes in his game, takes the win. He finds the win 2-1 over Szychu, advances on to the next round in winner's side. I mean, it's just incredible to watch this guy week in and week out. Because when you look at this objectively from the outside and you see these deck lists, this matchup, these lineups, you would heavily favor Szychu. And I still felt like Szychu played quite well. There was a few small mistakes. There was the one Will of Ionia that I really didn't like.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy.
That's enough. That's enough of a gap for Winding God to punish you and take a set. And even there could be argument to potentially from Szychu's viewpoint that the Will of Ionia might have actually been a perfectly sound, reasonable play. Of course, we have caster vision. I don't like to, go too hard on someone. From our eyes, looked like a misplay, looked like that was the mistake, right?
Yeah.
It's so incredible.
Yeah, I can certainly see why that, like the line of my Thresh is important, but my Rekindler needs to bring back Karma. That's how I'm going to win. That mindset is not inherently flawed, I don't think. But in that situation, it was. He wanted to protect his Thresh, play it back again, and figured that was going to be enough. But with the challenges, with the rally, or the vulnerable rather, and the rally, like that was enough. I mean, you think about that hand without Citrus Courier, all of a sudden maybe it's a closer game there. So I mean, expertly piloted by Winding God, obviously, but Szychu made what we saw with perfect vision was maybe a misplay, and it ended up costing him, and then cost him the next game just went in Winding God's favor, and just goes to show you there's just no room for even small misplays against a player like Winding God.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we'll see more of him throughout the tournament, but I just believe that this guy he's something else. Winding God is something else. We might see him back for week 4. Obviously, it's early to call that. But early. He is so incredibly good. But we will be having a lot more Fight Night Legends action starting off with round 2 coming up after a short break. Don't go anywhere. We have plenty more to come. Welcome back to Fight Night Legends. We're jumping in with another round one matchup that's in progress. This is Gvuardya, our previous champion, versus AG Topher, winner of GiantFest. He is running Ezreal Karma. It looks like this is actually the Ezreal Karma mirror. Ooh. So Gvuardya probably able to take down Ez Karma with his Swain TF list that we saw him do so well with last week, dominating, undefeated all the way to the finals, all the way through the finals. That deck did not lose a single game. Gvuardya once again continuing that, it looks like, with this first win of the set in round one. So now just moving on to the Ezreal Karma mirror, see if Gvuardya can take that one.
Yeah, I mean, this is a matchup that last week especially, Gvuardya had to play quite a bit, so not anything new for him. Topher, of course, had to as well in GiantFest, you know, played even more rounds there over the weekend. But so both players obviously very familiar with the matchup here, but Topher is down one game here, so if he can't pull out this mirror, it will be a 2-0 victory for Gvuardya.
Yeah, and Gvuardya is very low, so if Topher is able to get the level up with these Ezreals already in hand, Topher should be able to find the win over Gvuardya, but if he can't get this Ezreal level up fairly quickly, we are looking at Karma Rummage on the side of Gvuardya for the Enlightened turn, which I would say actually is advantage towards Gvuardya, and he just ate 5 mana from Topher there, so that is a very, very good turn for Gvuardya to get back into this one.
Yeah, the lobster pass, as we like to call it, very good, especially when Gvuardya knows, yeah, I just need to get to 10 here. I don't care about what my opponent's doing right now. Yes, I'm at 10 life. If they have it, they have it. I need to get to turn 10 and get these karmas leveled up, because once that happens, all of a sudden I'm in the driver's seat.
It's an open attack, basically acting as a soft pass for Topher right now. He just wants Gvuardya to be the one on initiative, forced to make a play.
Yep. And the Karma number 1 coming out. I don't hate it. It essentially says, Topher, do you have the answer, bud? Because if you don't, I'm gonna untap. I'm gonna have full mana. If you pass here, I'm snapping. He could not hit the pass button faster, right? But if we go into next turn and I've got this Karma in play, you're just gonna lose, right? Like, or you're very likely going to, right? You're in a bad spot at the very least.
I think this Karma is a symptom of being on 10 HP from Gvuardya. I think it is because he has no defense. He's got an extra Karma, so he knows he's still safe to play one on turn 10. But this is like the Hail Mary, like, okay, if you don't have the answer, I probably win. And if you do have the answer, this is still, I can still come back. But I'm not super happy with the spot I'm in, so let's go for this. And now Topher is trying to level Ezreal. I think I just saw him at 4 of 8, but that might have been before the static, so I think he's probably at 6 of 8 now. And Gvuardya is also at 6 of 8, so this will push Topher to 7 if he goes for this will.
And I like the will from Topher. It acts effectively as a kill spell, at least for this turn, for the Karma. He does obviously have the get excited as well, so something like a deny came out, he could get excited to actually kill the Karma straight up. But for the purposes of surviving and not letting my opponent untap with a Karma, Will of Ionia works just fine.
Yeah, that get excited is very likely its purpose is the dome. I'm pretty sure that's why he does not want to expend it on the Karma there. But Enlightened Karma coming down for Gvuardya, and it's not a leveled Ezreal, so this gets a little bit dicey. This is where Gvuardya has the opportunity to try and make his comeback.
Yeah, we talk about like turns ahead. It's not turns, it's like initiative passes ahead. Gvuardya's 1 initiative pass ahead, right? The Static Shock would level up the Ezreal, which he then could play, or he could play the Ezreal and then level up. So it's actually kind of like 2 initiative passes ahead, if we look at it like that, because Topher needs to cast Ezreal and another spell before Ezreal is online, whereas Karma's just active right now. And we don't see lethal damage for Gvuardya right now, but I mean, deep meditation, double rummage, double inside of the ages. It's not super hard to find it, or at least find a lot for Gvuardya here.
All right, it looks like a rummage is very likely here. Get rid of some of these Will of Ionia. A little bit too many of them here.
Yep, absolutely. The good news for Topher here is that the Static Shock only needs to, I think, get one target on a unit to level up Ezreal. So the Static Shock can go on a unit and then also to face.
Right, because the Will was 7 of 8.
Mm-hmm.
There's Ezreal, though, for Gvuardya. So if Gvuardya can actually level it, which he very well can, right? Of course, Static on the Shadow Assassin and face will level Ezreal.
Yeah, but the difference here... Oh, and Topher also now has Ezreal. So has Karma in hand now. So that changes things, Casa, because now Get Excited plus Static with the Karma out is lethal. Not going to have enough to cast all of it.
Right?
He could next turn, though.
8, right?
Yeah, he would have 7 plus 6 is 13. So if he banked full mana next turn, he could cast all 3 of those. But, I mean, again, that's interactable. Oh, another Get Excited drawn.
Okay, well now it gets a little bit scary if the Karma can come down. But what I'm kind of seeing here for Gvuardya is potentially just this Static. And then his first action of initiative, he can get Ezreal down, and he'll have Burst Lethal. Looking at this hand, he'll find it. Mm-hmm. He's got Rummage, he's got the Inside of the Ages, he's got the Deep Med. He'll get there with 10 mana.
Mm-hmm. He also has Chump Wump if he really needed to.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like the line. I know this allows Topher to potentially develop Ezreal, get the Mystic, and then, shoot at face, try and get more damage out, level his Ezreal. Then he has first action Karma. So theoretically, this is losing to Ezreal here, first action Karma from Topher. But it's winning in the sense that if Topher cannot end at burst speed, Gvuardya can. And that's probably the best bet that he's got.
Yeah, I wonder how relevant this health pot is going to be too.
Potentially very relevant, yeah. Because not only is it to Gvuardya's face, but it's also 2 additional life for Topher. I know health pot heals 3, but in this situation, it's going to be healing 2. I don't see a world where it's going to actually heal the full 3.
Yeah. So these 2 Static Shocks resolve, right? And actually, I mean, Gvuardya can attack here. Gvuardya actually can get 6 damage in. And there's not really much that Topher can do about that. I mean, with Karma down, effectively he's going to heal that back up with the health pot, right? So it doesn't, I guess, matter all that much. Oh, but he's going
to throw away 1 Get Excited to remove Karma. This is probably good because he's at 18 HP. He shouldn't die to solo Ezreal.
I like it. Yeah, threatened to kill Karma. I mean, there's not really anything that saves Karma here, right? For 2 mana. I don't think so. So just take the free kill on Karma and then open up on Ezreal, right?
Yeah, you would. There's, I guess, argument to play. I guess if you play Ezreal now, he dies to Mystic Shot. So maybe wait to play the Ezreal until the next turn.
He's not gonna have. He doesn't have mana for.
Oh, right. Sorry, the Get Excited hadn't resolved yet in my brain. Yeah, there was still three mana there. So okay, so no. So he's out of mana. Takes 1 from the eye. There's still a Karma and an Ezreal for Gvuardya, but there's also Karma and Ezreal for Topher. First action. I mean, Gvuardya is advantaged because of just the amount of spells. Even though Topher can refill with second Karma, that's a huge top deck, by the way. Massive top deck to get that Karma.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, it's super close.
Mana advantage to Gvuardya.
Yep. And just card quantity and quality also to Gvuardya.
Very much.
But the mana advantage is going to go. No, I guess it's not going to go away. It's going to still be the same because neither of them have a champion in play. Do you open on Karma or do you open on Ezreal here? I feel like you have to open on Karma. I don't know. The problem is Karma plus Ezreal is Topher's full turn, and there's nothing else he can do.
What happens if Topher passes? I'm curious. Like, it can't be a pass, right? Because then Gvuardya just gets to develop Karma.
Comes out. Yeah.
Right.
Ezreal comes out for Topher.
This likely prompts just Ezreal from Gvuardya. He needs to be able to stop the attack. So if he plays Karma, he's committing to Concussive Palm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I kind of want Ezreal out here because Ezreal also threatens to just block the Ezreal. Not that you necessarily would, but it threatens to. Okay, it looks like Gvuardya might just go for the kill here and just play Get Excited.
Yeah, that works. This is sketchy to deny, but he can go for the second Get Excited if he needs to.
Right.
Because I think that's still winning. If you get denied here and you go second Get Excited, then you first action Ezreal and win at burst speed. So I think that is the line is still winning for Gvuardya.
Now the question is, Topher can do 5-9. It doesn't even have lethal if he goes for it. We know that it wouldn't be lethal anyway, but doesn't even have lethal if Gvuardya was tapped out. So I think he just has to let this happen. Yeah,
he does.
Basically just lets this happen, then plays Karma, passes, and then what? He plays Karma. Gvuardya plays Ezreal.
It's checkmate.
Gvuardya plays Ezreal, and how many times do we see a player untap with Ezreal and any number of cards in their hand that's not 0 and lose the game? It's very few.
No, this is checkmate. Gvuardya has the first initiative on the next turn, so he doesn't ever have to play Ezreal on this turn unless Topher fully taps out. He's got burst speed spells to create a lot of damage with the Rummage and the Deep Med. He should be able to find everything he needs. Can even consider playing Chump Wump as first action because he'll have the initiative if the Ezreal is developed on this turn to get additional burst speed spells to finish the game. I think this is just checkmate. I think Gvuardya is going to have it. Maybe there is a way that Topher can play something like Karma, find a Mystic Shot, and if Gvuardya doesn't win at burst speed, Topher can find it over the top.
Or if Topher play the problem is if Topher plays Ezreal, actually if he plays Ezreal or Karma, Gvuardya has the ability to just kill it right now.
He does, yeah, he does. But Topher I don't think has the luxury to really play around that here. I feel it's too risky, but he's going to, and that's a pass, and that's going to be first action Ezreal from Gvuardya.
Yeah.
Unless he feels he needs the mushrooms, but okay.
Soft passing over. This seems interesting to me because if Topher has like Ezreal.
Yeah. No, this should be game for Gvuardya. I think he's looking at his hand and he's like, okay, I don't literally have game in hand, right? That's why there's thought process here. But when I'm looking at a Rummage with my Karma alongside a Deep Med, and I've got my Ezreal on board, I'm pretty confident I can win at burst speed. And he can even develop the Chump Wump. That will put him He'll be on kind of low mana. It's a little bit scary to go chump wump here.
Yeah, he'll be on 6 and he'll have yeah, I mean it'll be close. He'll be on 6. You can use 3 there, plus 1, 3. Yeah, I don't know if I like the I don't think I would commit to chump wump here. It's a little too pricey.
I agree. I think that this is the best line to just go for your burst spells, try and find more of them. Finds another Mystic, actually 2 more Mystic shots, because you can definitely use Ezreal's Mystic shot here. Gonna look for a little bit more. Some more burst damage. There's some more burst damage. There's another Mystic. Now you go in for the attacks. You force Topher to answer your Ezreal. When he goes for it, then you can actually just end the game. We're going to see this is Karma's Inside of the Ages. But yeah, like I mentioned on the previous turn, with the ability to first action Ezreal with Karma on the board and burst spells available, it should just be checkmate.
Yeah, especially with Topher now down to 9. I mean, Gvuardya has the threat of lethal for sure. It's just he's playing around as much as possible, which absolutely makes sense in this case. It's another one of those, he knows he has the game. It's his to lose. It's very easy to win, to find a way to win here. You just need to make sure you avoid that way to lose.
Yep, Sumpworks map actually picked up the random spells, can block Ezreal. So that does force Gvuardya's hand to cast spells first.
Yep.
But I don't think that's going to matter whatsoever. Topher on 3 mana and the health pot coming out, so even if there was that 10 damage a burst available, Topher no longer can kill Gvuardya from 16.
Oh, he only has 3 mana left. Yeah, no, it's elementary at this point. Although, unless... No, let's see, that's 2, 4 plus 6 is 10. Actually, though, Topher can go up to 11 here with the double health pot, and Get Excited will only do 10 damage, right? Oh no, there's an Ezreal.
That's real.
I'm trolling.
Gvuardya has like 40 damage in hand.
Yeah. I was thinking there was merely one Karma out.
Yeah, he could destroy a couple Nexus with his hand of cards right now. With the hand of cards, Gvuardya didn't need Ezreal on board. He had plenty pushed through. And we will see Topher trying to figure out how he can try and play around this. He sees the health potion is essentially his likely play, and we'll just see once again another Mystic come out. I'll seal the deal, or potentially Get Excited. Doesn't really matter which one. Probably Get Excited is a better option. It's just more potential damage, harder for Topher to find any way back in. But regardless of what Gvuardya picks, this is checkmate.
Yep, that is game, and it's going to be Gvuardya winning 2-0 versus Topher.
Yeah, 2-0 for Gvuardya over Topher. Going to send Topher to the losers. Gvuardya advancing to face off against Yotsuba in round 2. On the other side, we've got Winding God versus 4LW. 4LW actually took down LORRattlingBones. So we will be seeing that. Yotsuba taking down Bruised by God in the first round. So matchups for this round, winner semis, we got Gvuardya versus Yotsuba, Winding God versus 4LW, while in the losers bracket, Topher will be taking on Bruised by God, and Szychu will be facing off against LORRattlingBones.
Yeah, I mean, obviously anyone's game here. Of course, if you're new to Fight Night, this is a double elimination event. So even if your favorite player got eliminated here, they still have the chance to play up through the losers bracket. We saw Presto in week 1 lose in early on and make a run through the losers bracket. We saw Winding God lose in round 1 last week and make a run back to the finals in the losers bracket. And of course, if you want to check out your favorite player directly, you can go over to juked.gg, use !legends in the chat. You can check out all of the perspectives of the players. And of course, you can still check us out here on the main broadcast. But man, crazy. We're one round in, Casa, and we've already seen Poros in a game.
Yep. We have seen Poros. Yep, Poros here already in Fight Night. But for the matchup this week, or not this week, but this next round, we'll be seeing Winding God once again. He took down the Poros. Now he's going up against 4LW, the more standard lineup, as we've kind of dubbed it, with that Braum Swain Karma Ez. 4LW, incredibly strong player from Brazil. He's been topping the ladder very frequently recently, alongside having some great tournament performances in the BR Fest as well as Jam Fest. He got second to Topher. He's going up against Winding God, but he has brought, like I said, Braum Swain, Karma Ez. This is the lineup that Winding God targeted. This is the one. Karma Ez in particular, Ionia PNZ. This is what Winding God is looking to beat. And we're going to see if his preparation, his lineup is going to work out, bringing that Bannerman list, bringing that Sech MF, because this list is so powerful right now. We see this as a 3x Eye of the Dragon version, no Claws of the Dragon, 3x Concussive Palm. So that is going to help a lot against aggro, having that stun and extra unit generated. But also, interestingly, we see 3x get excited. Sometimes that's only a 2 or a 1 of, but mostly we've been seeing the 2 version to give you that potential for the one-shot capabilities with Karma. And it looks like 4LW does really like to have that option, keeping it at a 3x get excited.
Yeah, definitely a very strong and, very streamlined version of the deck. A lot of times we'll see, some 2 ofs, maybe a 1 of here, but it's 3x Concussive Palm, 3x Chump Wump, 3x Eye of the Dragon. Knows the cards that he wants to play, and he's playing full variants of the full copies of them. So looks like a very confident list, if nothing else. But like we said, Casa, Winding God's lineup is pretty targeted for this Ezreal Karma deck specifically. So in theory, Winding God is probably going to lose to the Braum Swain deck, because that is very good against aggro in general. Winding God says, I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'm going to win 2 games against Ezreal Karma, which theoretically makes a lot of sense, but it's not 100% matchup, Casa. It's maybe a 60-40, maybe even a 70-30 if we're being a little crazy here. Ezreal Karma deck can just win against anything.
I think likely a lot of the Ezreal Karma matchups that are bad only kind of cap out at around 40%. So at the end of the day, you still have a good shot to win as long as you pilot properly. And 4LW is a very exceptional player, so I do expect he will do just that. It is interesting overall to see this matchup, because very likely what we'll see is 4LW lead with Ezreal Karma, because he needs to find that win. He knows it's going to be hard to find it, and he can't risk randomly losing a game on Braum Swain to one of these aggro decks, and suddenly his Ezreal Karma is in a sudden death situation. He wants to give it 2 chances. So potentially we'll see a 2-0 one way or the other.
Right.
Seeing how it goes.
Yeah, if this Ezreal Karma deck wins, it's probably over, right? And if the and on the flip side, like you said, if the Braum Swain deck loses, it's probably over. So this very first game, regardless of what the deck choices for each player are, is extremely important here and will be very telling, because it's going to either, if it goes as planned, it's going to be Winding God favored. If something gets flipped here, all of a sudden 4LW is looking to be in the driver's seat. So, oh man, I mean, this is the proof of concept here. Can you bring a lineup that is targeted towards a very specific, very popular, and very powerful list? Can you bring a lineup that is targeted to beat that, and will it succeed?
And if we look at round 1, we see LORRattlingBones, very similar lineup to Winding God. Took on 4LW, got 2-0'd. So maybe not. Maybe this lineup is too strong right now. But we'll see very soon when we jump into this match. We will see if Winding God can actually be the one to take this lineup and say, hey, LORRattlingBones, let me show you how it's done. Take down 4LW. with a very similar lineup. Now, obviously, the cards are not one-to-one for them. They do have some different lists, but the same archetypes are being played, and maybe potential tech choices that were made on either side could make all the difference. And Winding God's going to be looking to prove that here. He already beat a lineup that it looked like he shouldn't beat.
Right.
Now let's see if he can beat the lineup that he prepared for.
Yeah, I mean, again, proof of concept. Is this a viable strategy? Because it's the beauty of Legends of Runeterra right now. Because we're so, I mean, Casa, we've casted, I don't even know how many tournaments so far. Like a lot, I would say.
a lot of tournaments.
That's my exact number. A lot. But it is still so early on in competitive Legends of Runeterra. I mean, we sort of crafted this format, this strategy, or this deck strategy for the tournament, and it's different than some of the other tournaments. There's some tournaments we're still experimenting as a community as to what the best format is, and this 2-deck format, best of 3, seems to be working well so far. So we're already seeing players like Winding God, players like LORRattlingBones trying to work within the confines of the format and try to break the format. But we're not sure what it is. It's not like there's years of tournament results and strategy behind this. I mean, the game's been out for what, 6 months maybe? I don't even know if it's been that long. I lose track of time. So we're still in the experimenting, the innovation phase. So it's very exciting that even if these strategies don't work, we're learning a lot as a community and as a competitive community moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the format is still definitely not broken. I know there's a lot of complaints going on Twitter and through the competitive scene about Ionia PNC being too strong, and I think a lot of that is warranted. I think that the archetypes, the 2 decks that, the Heimer Vi and the Karma Ez are very, very strong. We see them heavily represented in this tournament, but end of the day, this week we have less of them than we had last week. So even through all that, all the people talking about how good it is, less players have decided to bring it this week than they did in the previous week. We see more people trying different approaches, targeting lineups, and we'll see if any of these targeted lineups or different approaches can find its way to a victory over the more standard Ionia PNZ, Bronze Swain, or Ionia PNZ lineups. And start this out, 4LW going up against Winding God. Winding God, one of the mold breakers here, and it's hard to argue against him being one of the best players right now.
Yep. And the beauty of the way that Fight Night works is that even if there's a clear favorite for a deck, and the way that Runeterra works, a favorite deck is what, maybe a 70% win rate at most. I mean, I think if you're being reasonable at all, you're not giving a matchup better than a 70-30, except in very extreme circumstances. So you can counter it. You can bring a deck that beats that. So a lot of people are making assumptions and judgments about decks with a very small sample size, and it's becoming more and more diverse as we increase that sample size. Yeah,
and 4LW has a pretty brilliant hand to start this one out with the Bronze Swain. He's got the girls. He's got Disciple, Demolitionist. Put down the pain on Winding God to start things out, and Winding God doesn't have anything that can block this Disciple. Part of me is always kind of on the train of actually taking the 2 damage block into it, because you take 2 damage or you take 2 damage, but maybe against this deck list, which does, I believe, have some buffs, that becomes less of a good trade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sold on one way or the other. I'm also of the mind that I am generally looking to block, but if you're Winding God here, I don't mind not blocking, because yes, you're going to take 2 damage, you're going to take 2 damage, but Winding God wants to go wide here. He wants to be able to play Misfortune and potentially get an attack in with the Butcher, rather than just blocking and taking the same damage. So I like this in this matchup. I like the just take the 2 here. Yeah,
it's a fair point. The thing with taking the 2 there is Winding God will take the 2 again later. But like you said, he does want to go wide. He's looking to try and put a lot of pressure on, and so this works out for him. But yeah, this Fury is devastating. not only is he going to take 2, but then he's going to take another 2, and he's going to lose his misfortune. So this is
another 2, actually, even. Because
yes.
The misfortune trigger and then the misfortune attacking.
Right, exactly. And then he's going to take, guess what? Another 4 damage because there is a demolitionist potentially to come down. And the disciples are so good in this matchup. They're putting so much pressure on for 4LW.
Yep.
And yeah, Winding God's got another MF, but he's just going to destroy his own Nexus with misfortune, not his opponent's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's certainly looking good for 4LW at this point. But, there's a reason that we see a lot of these Disciple Demolitionists get played. They are a very, very potent, very strong combo here.
Yep, here comes Disciple Demolitionist. 4 more going to Winding God's face.
Just, casually play a Decimate, except you also get a 2/3. No attacks coming in, which makes sense. But who needs to attack when Winding God's going to do the damage for you with his misfortunes?
Yeah, I mean, Winding God likely just doesn't play misfortune. I mean, he just can't put it on the board, which is devastating for MF Set. You want to be playing this. That's part of how you create your incremental advantages with this deck. And the fact that Winding God is priced out of playing it because he'll take 4 damage is brutal. It really hurts. And, it doesn't look like Island Navigator is a good play necessarily. It's a 2-attack creature, gets blocked by the Disciple, take another 2 damage. So he's kind of priced out of every play that he has. It feels very awful. 4LW potentially just develops a Swain, or he can go for a 2-drop and a 3-drop, getting another Disciple on the board.
Yeah. In here, the good news for Winding God is he has double Warning Shot, double Riptide Rex, right? So that is going to be strong in the late game. The problem is 4LW has one of the best late games, which is just play a boat, play a Swain, pass the turn. Don't even need to attack. Don't need to do anything else. Just pass the turn. The boat's going to do the damage for you, and Swain is going to keep you safe by stunning your opponent's entire board.
Yeah. I mean, he has a couple more turns until boat. And he's drawn all 3 Swains, but he can use these Ravflocks and then just redraw the Swain with Boat, which is, it does really open up the Ravenous Flock to being a great play because of the fact that you're going to redraw it anyway with this Boat. So you might as well get value out of the card now while you have it. Yeah,
and 4LW just developing another unit, essentially a soft pass over to Winding God. See if there's a better target to Sentry plus Flock here. I think he's going to be happy playing it on anything, but he's going to be especially happy playing it on a 4/4 scout unit.
It's so good. Yeah, you just Sentry Flock. It levels Swain too, I think. I think he's at 9 of 12.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's just devastating. We're going into turn 7 here, right? I would not be super surprised if we saw the concession.
The old scoop? The old
Winding God is known for many things. One of those things is knowing when he's dead and not sparing any time getting out of a game where he has lost.
Yeah, but now the attacks can come in. Honestly, so 4LW kind of can go in with everything because the 3/3 has to block Swain.
Yep.
So it can't hit the Disciples. And so the blocks on the Disciples are terrible because they're all 2 attack or 1 attack. So you still take the 2 damage. And look, he's drawing it out for us on the screen. 4LW is like, hey, look, this 3/3's got to go here. I get to go in. This looks really, really good overall for 4LW.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the 2/2 Disciple doesn't need to come in, but everything else can pretty clearly come in. Just factoring out, like, how bad is it if I make his 0/3 into a 3/3?
Ooh, yeah, I guess the 0/3 gets to block a Disciple.
Yeah.
So I guess he just decides full on just going to ignore that. He basically loses out on 2 damage to not give 3 attack to the Unscarred Reaver.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Again, it's 4LW is not looking for how to win here. That is very clear. It is how do I lose? And he sees maybe there's a way where if he turns that 0-3 into something real, that could be a loss. Maybe, getting the health taken off of my units makes Riptide Rex better. Like those are the things that are going through 4LW's head right now. Because yes, 4LW is, I think, certainly very far ahead here, but Winding God's next few 2 turns are going to be Riptide Rex into Riptide Rex. If it goes that, like, if the game is not over, those are likely the 2 turn 8 and turn 9 plays for Winding God. And how many games have you seen a player lose when they go Riptide Rex into Riptide Rex? Like, it's got to be a pretty low number.
Yeah, pretty rarely. Winding God played Misfortune, so I'm trying to figure out exactly why the MF comes down now. Does he want to take the damage now and go in for an attack, make the Disciples block, try and clear away the board a little bit, so that when he slams this Rex, it clears the Leviathan? Yeah. Because he's like playing around the idea of Leviathan ends the game. Mm-hmm. So I need to find a way. So he's going to go for as many attacks as he can. Yep.
Here's the thing. If whether Winding God's at 10 or Winding God's at 6 or Winding God's at 1, if it's not 0, it doesn't matter, right? So he's going to be taking a 6 damage automatically from MF, but if it's not the full amount, it doesn't matter, right? Like he gets to...
And it lets him clear Swain.
Oh,
that's very important.
Swain. Okay, that's right. I forgot that the Swain ended up actually getting vulnerable by the Razor Scale. Razor Fin. I don't know what that card's called. 5 mana 4/4.
Razor Scale Hunter. Gotcha.
There we go. Fin Scale. Yeah, I knew it was something with those words in it.
The Fin Scale Hunt guy.
Laser Fish Hunter guy. Yeah. Well, the attack's now coming in for 4LW, and is it lethal? That's the question. So this is how I'm imagining this happen. This attack comes in. The amount of damage that is done is I don't think guaranteed to be lethal. Can block. Yeah, I don't think Winding God dies from this. The priority will pass over to Winding God. I'm thinking Winding God will pass back. And if 4LW passes back, then we go into the next turn. What might happen is 4LW will play the Leviathan, and then we'll see the Riptide Rex, and then the dice is rolled, and we see, does the Riptide Rex kill the Leviathan? And if it doesn't, it's likely over.
I think somewhat 4LW might have been overthinking there. I think his attack was very good. It basically was guaranteed to set up lethal in one way or the other. He was going to be able to push guaranteed 4 while having 2 Disciples with 3 HP still on the board, the way the blocks were going to line up. And so I think that it was going to be a very, very good position. And now there's the chance for Rex RNG, but doesn't really hit what he wants overall.
Right.
For Winding God. But he's on second Rex on first action, and he's not dead. So there's kind of a way back in.
Yep. So, yeah, Winding God's not dead. The Rex can trade with the boat, so it's not attacking. The attack is just done, right? It can't do anything. So Rex could, this first Riptide Rex could actually just attack.
I kind of like attacking to try and make sure you deal with the boat. It doesn't guarantee you deal with the boat because 4LW is more likely to just chump block and play Swain, because then you just stun the Rex for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that opens up for a better second Rex than leading with second Rex.
Yeah, as we see with the sentries, like this, opening with Rex is never going to kill, I don't think. I think even if it hit perfectly, it's not going to kill.
Yeah. I'm thinking for Winding God, considering that he can't consider that there's Sentry, I think. Well, maybe he can, He's on another Rex as well. He picked up that third Rex. This is huge. I think Winding Gods is in a very good spot now. I just noticed the shark on the top right. It snuck up on me.
They will do that.
I think, honestly, like in post, we need the Jaws theme for like the last, like, there's like a 1.5-minute segment here where we just need the Donna.
DMCA. But yeah, I think that it looks like this is going to hit pretty well. I think the Leviathan is at 2 health.
Yeah, him not killing the Leviathan means that all 4LW has to do is survive. He just has to live now, and he wins on the next turn start step.
Does, right?
Yeah, he just has to jump. Just jump the Rex.
Yeah.
And it looks like 4LW is going to be able to march this on home, unless he's a little bit scared of a Fury of the North. But no, just the surrender from Winding God. He knows he can't win here, and we're going next. 4LW taking game 1. But this was the Braum Swain. He led with it. He chanced it.
Mm-hmm.
If Winding God had found that win, that would get very scary for 4LW. But he finds the win. And now Winding God goes up against the matchup that he's targeting.
He absolutely is. And I mean, there's one card in the deck that we just saw, the MF Sejuani deck, that we saw a lot of, Casanova, that's very good against this Karma Ezreal deck. And that's the pop-up out of nowhere Riptide Rex scaring. Okay, sorry, Chad. I scared you with my Riptide Rex IRL. Very good in this matchup because it puts on a ton of pressure. There's really not that much board presence from the Ezreal Karma deck. So Winding God's going to be putting on pressure throughout the entire game. 4LW is probably going to have to play stuff like a Chump Wump, maybe an Eye of the Dragon here, and Riptide Rex can just clear it away very easily and attack for a huge amount in one turn.
And here we are, starting once again 4LW. This Concussive Palm going to be, like we talked about, very good against these aggressive decks. He's got it in the opener. Got a Mystic Shot as well. A lot of 2 HP creatures, 2 toughness creatures that he'll have to deal with. But Omen Hawk is the start you want to see if you're Winding God. Next up, he wants to pick up a 2-drop. And then he's pretty well positioned to curve out with these Misfortunes, with these Petty Officers. Doesn't find anything on 2. But Bank Spell mana isn't the end of the world here.
Right.
And a Riptide Rex was drawn. And you need that for the game win against Ezreal Karma. It is a very important card. So getting that picked up, Winding God's happy to see it.
Yep, absolutely. And the Concussive Bomb can come out here and can actually target the Omen Hawk if he wants, because the 3/2 can block the Misfortune. I mean, it doesn't. I guess you actually would want it to be on the 1/1, because the 1/1 attacks pretty well into the 3/2 from Concussive Palm, if that's what's going to happen here. Could just be double Mystic Shot on MF. Could be Will of Ionia on MF if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I really like the Palm on Omen Hawk here. I think I very much like this play. Winding God, of course, doesn't want to trade in his Misfortune, so this does answer the attacks very well. With this swing, this is definitely going to be Misfortune's Make It Rain. He did bank the mana on the last turn. This is just so Winding God can continue the pressure and work towards the Sejuani level up. Is seemingly what it is here, making sure that you deal damage on this turn.
Yeah, and there's not a ton of spots where the Make It Rain is going to be like super good. And if 4LW is using like a Get Excited or 2 Mystic Shots to kill this MF, I think he's probably. I mean, he's not like super happy about it, but he's got to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, this Static Shock Mystic is pretty clear of the board. Of course, we see Winding God does have a Petty Officer, so he does get to refill going a little bit wide, which is exactly what he wants to see. Greenglade Caretaker probably not going to see any value from any any barriers this game.
No, just a 1/2, though it is better than the 0/3 that we've been seeing Winding God get quite a number of times already.
Yeah, but he does get to play an Omen-Hawked Butcher, so he still plays the 1-mana 3/3. Very powerful. The open attack looks reasonable. The Razor Scale Hunter obviously feels worse when you can't use the trigger effect of the vulnerable.
Yep. Yeah, and when you're just playing a 4, I mean, you know, playing a 5-mana 4/4 Scout is not terrible though. Like, it's still a pretty big
pressure.
block.
It's pressure.
It is a lot of pressure. Chump Up is going to come down here and effectively stop that pressure, at least from that card, but it's still, you know, 7 damage coming through if what is it? Razor Fin, Razor Scale,
Razor Scale Hunter.
Razor
You'll get there.
Scale Hunter.
You will get there. One day,
Blevins. I'll remember it. The next time it comes up, I guarantee I'll remember it. Razor Fin. No, I did.
Razor Scale Hunter.
I know. I said Razor Fin on purpose. Razor Scale Hunter comes in, trades with Jump Up, and then 7 damage comes through. I mean, putting 4LW down to 10 is where you want to be. Rex in hand already. I mean, this is pretty much how Winding God draws this up. He just needs a warning shot or he just needs something to trigger the Rex first. Raw Ezreal coming down, really, not a ton of ways to deal with it from Winding God, but has the sedge.
There's
to
one of
stop
them
from the attack. Yep, one of the very few.
Yeah, 4LW really wanted to try and pick up an extra Mystic Shot. He's got 2 in hand, but just finding more ways to deal with this board that is getting a little bit out of hand was certainly what 4LW was looking for. Of course, being denied that with the Szychu coming down. And now, I mean, Will of Ionia can't come out yet. Potentially you go for a Mystic, and then you will on the next turn when the Szychu attacks in, but yeah, I mean, it's starting to look pretty tough for 4LW in general, as he's not super close to the Ezreal level up, and he is running a little thin on tools. He has Rummage for the refill, though, so he might be able to get there.
Yeah, I mean, it's very close to just needing to block with Ezreal. The 8 coming through now. I mean, there's not... Warning shots would kill... So he has to think, does he want to put himself dead to 2 warning shots or a Yordle Grifter plus a warning shot? Just going to preemptively Will of Ionia the Szychu. Makes sense. Winding God has to decide, does he want to cast the Fury of the North? Does he just want to recast Szychu?
Yeah, I'm curious because the Fury is just like, hey, you don't have second will. Oh, okay, so he's going to hedge and go for the kill on Ezreal. Okay. I like this. I think I'm a fan of this. Instead of just going full out, just trying to deal damage, just try and get rid of this Ezreal instead.
I like it. Yeah, still puts him down to 7, which is notably will kill. Riptide Rex will kill. I guess technically you'd do 8 because you need to do the initial one. So if opponent's at 8 and has no board, Riptide Rex will kill if you have the initial trigger for it.
Okay, we'll see what he steals off this BMM as well, because that can be impactful. You can find like Burn, which would be a way to trigger Riptide as well.
True, would actually be huge.
Deep. So do you want to draw like 2 Fury of the North or what here? Picks up the deep med.
2 warning shots is gonna be just fine.
Yeah, there's triggers.
I mean, those are the only 2 options: is warning shot and Fury of the North. So.
Yeah, there's 2 warning shots.
2 warning shots,
actually such a good steal.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be okay with. You got to be okay with that, right? Because Riptide Rex comes down. Profit. I mean, is there any way to survive the Riptide Rex here?
It's also 2 face damage when 4LW is at 7. Like, that's really relevant.
Yep. 4LW also notably has 0 health potions, so not that they would do too much here, but can't even draw into life gain. There's 0 life gain whatsoever for 4LW, so he's at 7, he's staying at 7, or rather, he's not going above 7. I mean, I don't even think... I think just the attack is going to be enough for 4LW. The attack comes in, is likely going to kill him, may spend all of his resources to stay alive, but then the Riptide Rex just comes out and there's an additional warning shot to boot.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. Rex should just finish it. He's going to Thermal Beam the MF, which does help some of the damage, but I still think we're in that same kind of scenario where these attacks come in. If they don't finish the job, the warning shots plus the Riptide Rex will, and we're even going to see the lead with the Rex to just clear away the lifesteal, clear away all the units on board.
Yeah, he actually has to lead with the Rex here, just because the blocks, like, he's actually, without the MF, he's actually not putting on that much damage. He was actually only going to do one there. And then with the lifesteal actually was not going to be enough. So with the Rex, it should potentially be enough, because Concussive Palm actually stops a lot here. Because it'll stun the Rex, can block a 3/3, can block a 2/1. He's going to go down to 2. I mean, I think he still is dead as it stands, but Concussive Palm plus Get Excited or Mystic Shot, I think, keeps him alive here.
So Whining God only has to get 1 damage in. A single point of damage has to hit, because then the warning shot in hand will finish this off. So there's an extra blocker going down. So there'll be 2 blockers on board. There's the Mystic Shot, Get Excited. Yeah,
I think
you're right.
Has the ability to survive, but
he can live on 1.
It will require him having the insight to use a Mystic Shot on an Omen Hawk.
Yes.
Which I don't know if I'm making that call. If I'm making that
think
play.
Because the Deep Med came out and he has the it is open deck list, I think he might be like, okay, it's very likely a warning shot.
It's technically just as likely to. So we've seen one warning shot and one. So
does he want to flip it?
Right. He flips the coin. Does he? Yeah. I mean, that's the call. I mean, it's close one way or the other, because I think it's really. Man, I don't know. The thing is 4LW has to say, am I ever beating the warning shot in hand? Like, if he got 2 warning shots, am I winning this anyway? And does saving the Mystic Shot maybe give me a better chance? I don't know what the answer to that is, and we're going to see what 4LW thinks the answer to it is.
Okay. Starts out with just a Get Excited. Just testing the waters.
Yep.
Seeing what's going on.
He's testing the waters,
but
I think there might be chum in those waters.
Hovers the Mystic. Okay.
Yeah. So he's doing it. Not dead.
And he's got the Rummage. What?
Wait. Unless he goes, he
don't do it. Don't do it, 4LW.
And you do what makes you happy, bud. But if winning makes you happy, you should probably block here.
Oh no, he's flipping it. He's going for the 50-50 because he thinks he's in a better chance. Yeah. He has a better chance of winning if he can start spawning Dragonlings.
Yeah. No, I honestly think that 4LW made the correct decision. It just didn't pay off here. I think keeping the monk or keeping the Eye of the Dragon alive, generating a 2/1 is actually correct there. It's just it didn't pan out there because he put himself, he played to win, not play to not lose there. That's a distinction there. And the fact that he actually ended up losing to the second warning shot there isn't relevant to whether or not the play that he made was correct. We obviously have caster vision. We see both hands. We know that play put him dead. But I think if it was a Fury of the North, which it was a 50-50, leaving the Eye of the Dragon there, spawning a Dragonling there, actually puts 4LW in a position to actually win the game in a few turns, potentially at least. So.
Yeah, I think for me, there's definitely argument to that he could have won without the Eye due to the fact that his hand was exactly the chump bump with the Rummage. He was able to potentially find the answers he needed to live, but at the end of the day, it's the odds of him winning might have been better by keeping the Eye. I can't fault the play.
Yeah, I don't fault it either. It's just it's very close. And I think just making sure, people who are watching this in the future on the replay, making sure that it's like, oh well, that was a bad play because he lost is not a
right.
Results oriented thinking is a
absolute
fool's errand.
Absolutely. But it was a coin flip, and he decided to take it, and that's totally fine. The other option, which is probably lower odds, is to try, because you haven't seen a karma, is to try and hope for the karma top deck, right? And like that's very, very tough to making that decision.
Yep, I agree. So, Eye Dragon coming out here again, another really good one to have in this matchup in general, but we see a relatively powerful hand from Winding God, but not necessarily the quickest. I mean, Zed comes out, is going to get Mystic Shotted, and then our good friend Grizzled Ranger will be able to put on a little bit of pressure, but there's actually pretty good answers from 4LW's side here.
Yeah, Double Concerted is not a very happy hand for the early game. Especially because Winding God is missing a lot of the early development. So he is going to be playing scary threats as this game continues, but like you mentioned, 4LW's got great answers. He's got some units to defend as well. So in general, I like the early odds of 4LW, but as he has to expend resources, there will be more and more threats picked up by Winding God, but yet another Mystic grabbed off the top of the deck for 4LW. To deal with the second Zed that we just saw picked up off the top for Winding God. Yep.
Zed coming down, just going to get Mystic Shotted, and I mean, Winding God gets to attack with Cythria, but if he even wants to, he opts not to. Yeah, I mean, of course, as the game goes longer, and if 4LW's life total is not getting lower quickly, certainly going to favor 4LW, but it does ramp up to a point for Winding God, like we've seen many, many times, making that timing attack, being able to put on the pressure at the right time, not necessarily a ton of pressure early on. That obviously is what he wants, but he doesn't necessarily have to do that. It's making the pressure at the right time and being able to close from there.
Yeah, and this pickup of Ranger's Resolve is actually going to be quite good in helping to protect his units against Static and Mystic as those come out. Definitely a card he was looking for in this matchup. It is why there are 3 of them available for play. And yeah, the Grizzled Ranger just going to be an annoying body to remove, especially because that Ranger's Resolve potentially keeps it alive and makes a unit deal with it, or more spells deal with it. Just nullifying big resources.
Yeah, and 4LW looks like he's favoring the Chump Wump here instead of the Static Shock, likely for that exact reason. The Ranger's Resolve is just such a big tempo swing if he ends up Ranger's Resolving a Static Shock. And you know, countering 4 mana with 1 mana, it's just always a good exchange, right? But we're gonna see that happen here.
Oh,
and it's gonna be big.
Yeah. This is big because that was all of 4LW's mana. Just went to not interacting with the board whatsoever.
Yep. And the Scout attack comes in with the Valor and gets to free block, or gets to free pull the Eye as well.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely huge. And Quinn gets to attack as well because the Chump Wump doesn't even kill it with the Ranger's Resolve. Ranger's Resolve is such a good card.
It's so good in the matchup, and it is going to give Winding God a huge advantage at this point. Now, 4LW still has a great hand to try and deal with this in general, so he's still, you know, overall going to be feeling okay. He's not taking too much damage, but it still hurts. It's still a rough turn. 1 mana was traded to nullify 4 mana worth of spell. Now, obviously, it still gets the card draw and the ticks for Ezreal. So there's, like, you know, some things you still get out of it. But I mean, it's really, really hurt 4LW here.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he absolutely does still get the card draw and the ticks for Ezreal, but those are payoffs that he's going to be seeing rewards from many turns down the line. And as it stands, those turns might not exist in this game because Winding God is putting on a lot of pressure. We already see this Quinn is threatening to level up next turn, which means in the next 2 turns, This Will of Ionia is likely going to have to happen, or 2 Mystic Shot. Like 4 mana is going to need to be expended into this Quinn, and 4LW does not have all the mana in the world right now.
Jenny off the top. One of the best draws possible for Winding God here.
Jenny and the Scouts. Really, yeah, Jenny just absolutely insane here. The assassin gets to come through, do 2 damage because it can. It gets to do that, but not really a relevant attack here. Zed is serving his purpose as Mystic Shot Lightning Rod.
Yeah.
But Jenny coming down here, I mean, what is the... I guess the answer is Concussive Palm plus Will of Ionia probably means that the game's not just over. I think he's going to have exactly enough mana to do that. Oh no, he's actually not now because of that. Because the Shroom was played. I think he's only on 7 now, though he does get the Dragon Link. Jenny comes down, and now, I mean, Will of Ionia has to happen, right? Like, you can't let Quinn level up.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I guess so, but it's so bad. Like, it really hurts because she levels even if you palm here.
Exactly.
But is Will isn't good either. I mean, you're still losing out on your whole board.
Yeah.
You're taking a lot of damage.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, really tough.
These are all true statements. I mean, do you have to get excited? No.
I mean, don't be fooled by the spells that you got. That's still Jenny up the top.
Yeah.
It's gonna be threatening so much here.
Right, and the Valor once again just gets to eat another Eye of the Dragon if he wants. Okay, 4LW does get the Mystic Shot. So, all things said and done, yes, it was absolutely a very good turn for Winding God, but it's not the end of the world. 4LW still at 11 and has a Karma. The problem is that through all of this, there really hasn't been any sort of development for 4LW. Yes, he's got some Ezreal ticks, but Ezreal's not there. There's no Rummage. There's no Deep Med for this Karma. If and when turn 10 happens, we might have to see the Karma just get played raw at some point.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just for spell gen at this, like, you just need to look for something. But it's so risky because you know this is a concerted strike list. And if he's hand tracking, Winding God's been holding 2 cards on the left the whole game. What else could they be? What else would just not be played this long? One of them has to be considered,
Jenny,
right?
Could be, I guess, a second Quinn, possibly. But yeah, no, you are certainly putting him on a high level.
You put him on 1, right? Yeah, you put him on 1.
Yep.
It's still Jenny off the top once again. Winding God.
Okay, well, preemptively taking out the first Jenny with Get Excited, but boy oh boy is he in for a nice surprise when the second one comes out, but not
this turn,
Quinn. Yep, not until Quinn
attack
comes.
turn.
Yeah, and I mean, as predicted, the raw Karma, I think.
You're right. It has to, but it's punished immediately. Like, it's just so rough.
Yeah.
Concerted takes it down. Jenny to open things up, and then what? I mean, 4LW's in so much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, does he have Ruination in his list?
Yeah. Okay. So even Brightsteel first. Set this up.
Concussive Palm theoretically is going to block some of this. Kind of. I think this is just Concussive Palm stops Jenny. Concussive Palm would be good if he didn't have scout attacks, maybe. Concussive Palm stuns Jenny, blocks, or gets eaten by Valor, and then the thermogenic beam kills the Quinn, and I'm pretty sure he's still dead.
Pretty
sure he's still dead.
It's looking like curtains here for LW.
Oh, it doesn't even need the scout attack. That's right.
J-Lo hits the board. Gonna be taking him down.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think this is just it, right? I feel like the concussive palm on the Jenny just has to be.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be the play, but I do think he's probably realizing that he actually can't live here. I think it's definitely over. I think Thermo Beam on Quinn, then the Scout. Yeah, he's on 4. Yeah, it's gone. It's very, he's double dead here. So yeah, that's going to do it. Whiny God, guess what? We talked about it at the start, at the top of the show.
Mm-hmm.
He brought some decks to counter PNZ Ionia. And here we are, Winding God, taking the game over 4LW. Jenny off the top. There it is.
Jenny off the top, and Jaws taking it down. Riptide flexing on him. This is, Winding God. I imagine Winding God is looking at a giant whiteboard and being like this, and with all of the strings attached, and this is exactly how he drew it up, right? Like, this is okay. I'm going to be playing against Karma Ez a bunch. I'm just going to crush it. Bring whatever other deck you want. Bring your stupid Braum Swain deck that crushes Mag. I don't care. You can only get one win with that deck, right? That's how the format works. You can only get one win. So I'll let you have that one. But guess what? Ezreal Karma going to get 0 wins, and that does not win you a match.
Yeah, and we will see if he can continue his rise through the winner's side of the bracket as Winding God advances to the winner's final. We will see who his opponent is soon, and we'll have even more Legends of Runeterra action over here on Giant Slayer TV's Fight Night Legends right after this very short break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Giant Slayer's Fight Night Legends. We just saw Winding God take down 4LW, and he's waiting in the winners finals to face off against the winners of this set, Yotsuba versus Gvuardya, going up against each other here.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing another Karma Ezreal mirror here. A very intense mirror match for sure. We saw the last one, we saw Gvuardya versus Topher. Came down to the line, honestly. I mean, maybe Gvuardya was a little bit ahead for a few turns, but it was not by much, honestly. I mean, it was certainly back and forth, and we saw coming in here Yotsuba doing the most important calculation, which is calculating the number of cards in your hand to make sure you don't overdraw.
Yeah, Yotsuba does have a lead here on cards, of course, on triple Karma Ezreal, getting close to that Ezreal level up. But interesting note, Yotsuba found the win with his Braum Swain, and that's how we're at this mirror matchup. So even though Gvuardya still found the win with Swain TF, not sure if he won the first game with it or the second, but he did find the win with it nonetheless. And now it's just the mirror. Once again, you know, the last time we saw the mirror, Gvuardya was a little bit on the back foot, but he brought it back, and both sides have their champions. HP advantage for Gvuardya. On the other side, we see, of course, card advantage for Yotsuba. I'm curious where the Ezreals are both at. We know Yotsuba's pretty close. He's a 6 of 8 now. Where is Gvuardya is going to be the question.
Yes, that is a question. Hover, maybe? See, we'll be looking back at these times fondly, Casanova, when we have tournament spectator client, and we can hover over them ourselves. But until then, we have to just guess.
Yeah, we can tell a little bit from the arrows, right? So, of course, he's not quite at 6. 6 is the break point for Ezreal to then have the double arrows, or at least the kind of dull arrow. So we know that Yotsuba does have a lead on Ezreal triggers currently.
Yep, so maybe a 4-piece. I don't know. Maybe. Oh no, it was just a straight up 1 for Gvuardya.
Yikes. Okay, so Yotsuba's very heavily in the lead then. Even though the HP differential is obviously 8, there's 20 on the side of Gvuardya, 12 on the side of Yotsuba, but Yotsuba's only 1 away from his Ezreal level up, and he can just hit that on this turn if he'd like to by utilizing this Concussive Palm. Or, better yet, potentially Will of Ionia, but we know waiting on the other side is a deny.
Yeah, so the deny can come out here, but the deny is not proactive at all. That's the problem for Gvuardya. Gvuardya, we saw this almost exact scenario happen in the mirror on the other side, where Topher had a very early life lead, was actually pressuring the life total of Gvuardya very heavily, but it didn't matter. At the end of the day, unless you have the full amount, if you're not dead, you're still alive. I know that's a very
huge.
It's a 7-head thing to say, galaxy brain. But until you're at 0, it doesn't matter what your life total is at. That's a very basic but very important concept to understand.
Look, I spent 10 minutes going over why winning's better than losing. I can't blame you for these galaxy brain comments of if you're alive, you're not dead. So I agree. I very much agree with that statement. It's a great fact that has been brought up. But I do think that the deny, while not is actually, even though it doesn't seem like it's a proactive card, in this scenario, playing deny is a very proactive play because of the fact that it keeps the karma on board to generate more cards when you are at a card differential, where you are behind in cards currently. So generating more is actually very, very good for you here.
Yeah, it gets even though it's the raw karma, gets to present it, and really it's telling, right? Because if your opponent can't deal with it, then it really limits the number of the cards that are in your opponent's hand, right? Because if there was a way to deal with it, Yotsuba is absolutely going to cast that, right? there's no way that Yotsuba is going to willingly allow Gvuardya to essentially start turn with a leveled up karma if unless he has the win himself.
Right, absolutely. And I think for Yotsuba as well, this starts to get really awkward because his Ezreal was supposed to be leveled this turn. That's what that Will of Ionia was going to do. But now he has an unleveled Ezreal, only one spell that does it, and it's a stun. It's not really a great spell for him to play on this turn. It starts to put, you know, a bit more pressure on Yotsuba, and now Gvuardya has burn spells in hand, and his Karma looks like she's making it to the next turn. He's got denies, he's got protection. He generated another deny off of the Karma. That spell gen, the first deny ended up just being 4 mana, make a new deny.
Yeah, when you get a card that's already in your deck from Karma, that's just a feels good, man. It almost feels unfair. Like, Karma getting you something that's at least decent feels extremely good, but when it's a card that you're already actively playing in your deck, that's just chef's kiss. I mean,
not only that, it's also one that's great in the matchup. You know, in this matchup, Deny actually does come at a premium. Deny is quite good in this specific matchup. There are dead matchups for Deny. This isn't really one of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing Gvuardya cast a Deny on something in the future, so we're a little bit off sync. Yeah,
that's going to be this concussive bomb. It makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Go for the last tick for your Ezreal. You need to. If you're Yotsuba, you need to level up your Ez, because that's your advantage here, is that your Ezreal's leveled, Gvuardya's is not, but he's going to have the Karma on board. So you got to get there. Deny bites. This is very tough for Yotsuba.
Yeah, and Gvuardya's going to go into the turn with a flipped Karma, another Karma in hand, a Deny backup, a Get Excited, and is going to have a mana advantage as well. And I think we'll potentially also have a Dragonling, though I'm not sure. I don't remember what the other spell that was cast was. Okay, now we'll definitely have a Dragonling with the Mystic Shot getting cast.
Oh! He found lethal. We have a little future sight on the hand, but his Karma.
Yeah. Wow.
His Karma generated lethal. I don't want to cast from that hand, but I saw it and I couldn't help myself.
We see it.
We'll see if it gets played though. That's gonna be the issue.
Yeah, this is one thing to be able to present lethal. It's another thing to actually have it, right?
Right, of course. It is just presented. Yotsuba still has a Deny potentially. Could draw into it. Keep him alive.
Yep. All right, opening with the gotcha onto the Karma. Makes sense.
I honestly, if you're Gvuardya, you just go for it, right? You play your second Karma, the Insight to get cards. You want cards. And then you just discard some of the fodder and you just go for it.
Or, just
the Deny's hiding. That's right. I forgot he had the extra Deny.
Right. And the doubling of Deny is certainly going to make sure that gotcha is not going to get anyone.
Gotcha ain't going to get you.
Gotcha ain't gonna gotcha Gvuardya. Okay, I'm
okay.
Done. Okay, that's as far as I'm gonna go. Looks like
you know what, Blevins, you're at like a 12 right now.
I'm at 12.
I need that needs to come down
12
to
12 head. 12 head is what you mean.
Yeah,
right? I'm at 12
yeah, sure. Yeah, 12.
That's just 3-4 heads, chat. Let me wait. Okay, yeah, I did do the caster math right for once. The deep med, the full cost deep med coming out, looking for something here to answer Karma, and it's just not gonna happen. There's nothing to answer this Karma. We can see if Gvuardya goes for it, it's just over. It
makes sense that he would here, right? So we see Yotsuba has tapped below 4 mana, which would be the Deny, and he's at 20 with Yotsuba having nothing represented on board. So that should just prompt Gvuardya to go for the double Get Excited. Sorry about the spoiler on the top of your screen, guys, but that is still going to make sense here that Gvuardya, as long as he considers all the options, finds the checkmate. And it is going to be the double Get Excited, sending Gvuardya, our previous champion, after the second Karma Ezreal mirror he's had to play, comes out on top once again and gets a rematch of the grand finals from last week as he faces off against Winding God in the winners finals.
Crazy. I mean, it's interesting because we see Winding God took a very specific strategy, target Karma Ezreal. Gvuardya taking a different strategy of, I'm going to play Karma Ezreal, and I'm going to play against the mirror a lot. I'm just going to win the mirror. I'm good enough. I know the matchup well enough. I can just play it. It's a super good proactive strategy. I just need to win my mirror matches, and I'm going to be just fine.
Yeah, and Gvuardya, once again, one of these players that returned from last week will be returning once again. They will face off. The winner will be guaranteed top 2 and coming back to Fight Night Week 4. Now, lower bracket, some games have gone by. Bruised by God, 2-1 over Topher. He'll face off against 4LW. LORRattlingBones, 2-1 over Szychu. He will face off against Yotsuba. Winner of that faces the winner of the other, right? They'll face each other in the losers semis, and then they'll go on to face the loser of Gvuardya and Winding God. But the next match we will be watching is going to be Gvuardya versus Winding God. That rematch from the grand finals of last week. And this time around, Winding God has the target lineup going after Gvuardya.
Yeah, has the I mean, again, this is exactly whether it pans out or not, this is exactly what Winding God wanted. And we see Gvuardya on the screen. Of course, our last week's champion from Germany here. We've got Gvuardya. Favorite archetype combo, of course, with the Karma Ezreal being played just so masterfully. I mean, we saw Gvuardya was on both sides of that Karma mirror and came out on top in both. So obviously knows something about this matchup where, you know, he finds his edge. It's insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, once again, we have Germany versus China here. We got Gvuardya versus Winding God. You know, and like you mentioned, you know, favorite archetype combo. He's been playing exceptionally on the Karma Ez. You know, we talk about, a lot of people have been complaining about PNC Ionia, but what's been very interesting in the tournament is we have the same players kind of climbing to the top once again. We have Winding God, we have Gvuardya winning all the mirrors. Now, I know there's obviously going to be variance in draws, but the fact that he keeps coming up on top, this is 2 weeks back to back that he is consistently winning the mirror, consistently finding his way to the top of the tables. It is truly impressive, and it is a very high skill deck list. So it is good to see, and it really, you know, Gvuardya is just proving to everybody how good he really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely very, I mean, it takes a certain type of player and a certain level of confidence to know you're going to come into a tournament and play mostly mirror matches and just be fine with it. Just, hey, you know what? I'm going to win them. I won them last week. I'm going to win them this week. I'm perfectly fine with it. But we're seeing the two strategies collide here with this rematch from our grand finals of last week. As, you know, Winding God said, I don't want to play the mirror. I want to play a deck that just straight up beats. I want to play a lineup that beats this Karma Ezreal lineup. So, I mean, this is, you know, whether or not he wins here, this is what Winding God asked for. So, you know, be careful what you wish for, but this is exactly what he asked for. And he's bringing this Zed Quinn deck that is, you know, a very aggressive deck, and it can, again, push that turn clock up surprisingly with the Relentless Pursuits to be able to use those rallies to, you know, maybe lure your opponent into a false sense of security where they think, oh, I'm not going to die next turn. Well, you're right. You're going to die this turn because I'm attacking again.
Yeah, and, you know, we saw in the previous match, a couple of Jennies off the top. You need the Jenny from the block going in, getting 2 of them that time for the aggression that was being put on by Winding God. I mean, that card has been extremely impressive, and the fact that it's not weak to Will of Ionia makes it even better in the matchup because it just gives the buff to the rest of the units on the board already straight away. Very, very powerful unit. And we just saw the potency of it in the previous matchup. And we saw the Quinn. This was a surprise to me, surprise to a lot of players, that there's Quinn being run alongside the Zed instead of the Lucian. This is kind of the first time I'm seeing that. Which is kind of weird. You would expect someone would have experimented with it. I'm sure they have, but it's my first time seeing it, definitely in tournament. And it worked out pretty well. Going wide helped out a ton, especially with the extra Rangers resolve to protect Valor. It worked beautifully, and I'm really excited to see this specific Demacia deck come back in, especially because Demacia has been on its way out with Scout sneaking it back in occasionally here and there, particularly to target PNZ Ionia, but maybe we'll see a lot more of it going forward.
Yeah, I mean, we know in general that the Karma Ezreal deck is just not good against a wide board. So let's play a unit, let's play a champion that makes 2 units and just go wide. And even if, the Valor is not getting a value trade, it's pulling a Braum to the side. It's pulling an only blocker to the side to be able to attack and go wide there. So it doesn't even necessarily need to get the maximum amount of value, though we did see that with Rangers Resolve just getting so much value. And I do want to point out the Rangers Resolve. We saw it already a couple of times just be absolutely massive. It doesn't need to be the most value, but it is in those crucial turns where we see Winding God make that timing attack and push on very specific turns to be able to take over the game, because we know, and he knows, if it goes long, Karma Ezreal is going to win. All these other control decks are going to win, but if you're able to push it, it doesn't need to be clean. It can be a little sloppy. We saw some exact wins from Winding God, but he gets the job done. And it doesn't matter if it's sloppy or not. If you win, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we saw a very powerful turn, right? For the static shock getting nullified by it. That's 4 mana being stopped by 1, allowing so much more pressure to be put on by Winding God. But here it is, the signature deck from Gvuardya. We haven't talked about it as much this week as we did last, but he's brought it once again. And this is Gvuardya's bread and butter. This is that TF Swain. He popularized it when he won Mavericks tournament a month ago. Dog then took it immediately from that tournament, played it in Twitch Rivals, won Twitch Rivals. This deck is proven that it can be good in tournament play, yet somehow Gvuardya is kind of the only guy that keeps bringing it back, and it's working for him.
Yeah, I mean, it technically got a little bit of a nerf with the pilfered goods now being 3 mana, but it doesn't matter. It's still just a good card. 3 mana, draw 2 cards. It's going to be perfectly fine. And something like Petty Officer, just such a good card. I mean, look at it here. It doesn't even really matter what it generates. It's going to be fine. And a perfectly good blocker. There's 2 blockers for you.
That's a great draw. I mean, of course, it being 1 health, it does get cleared away by the misfortune. But you can jump twice, even though you're going to lose it. You can stall out some time so that Gvuardya can find some better answers. It's always going to be great. Hapless Aristocrat is one of the better pickups for this deck. Anyways, here. So now Gvuardya probably looks to trade off into the misfortune. Probably chump blocks the 3/3. But we're looking at Winding God's hand. He's got the Fury of the North, and that can potentially go down to save MF and keep the pressure on.
Yeah, the MF staying healthy here is going to be good. Gvuardya, this is a very unit heavy hand right now. He does obviously have the late game. He's got boat into Swain, or Swain into boat, whatever way you want to do it, or Swain into boat into Swain. But these Yordle Grifters are going to be fine potentially, but again, they're just going to be. Oh wow, he actually whiffed there. But even if he didn't whiff, he's going to be just stealing a unit here, which he does not need more of. So it would kind of have been a whiff regardless.
Okay, Jagged Butcher. That's a good hit for the Petty Officer for Gvuardya. Has Deckhand as well to go wide, set up for potentially removal with this Noxine Fervor. Now, of course, the Fervor gaining extra damage from the Keg isn't going to be effective on this board, but it does push Swain closer to leveling up.
True. Looks like Gvuardya doing the old block on attack. Might as well try to get some damage in, and if your opponent wants to block, that's great, because you were going to block anyway.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see the blocks do come out. The Chump attack is still available from the Omen Hawk in order to trigger Misfortune.
And Sejuani, honestly.
Yeah, Sejuani being online is huge.
Yeah, Sejuani, I mean, you're likely to end the game before that, but I mean, with the number of warning shots in Winding God's hand, I mean, he is going to get Sejuani online much quicker than he normally would. And we obviously see both the Citrus Courier and the Riptide Rex to be able to really swing the game almost regardless of anything else. Citrus Courier, of course, isn't going to be super great if there's not units in play, but the Riptide Rex, there's another one. Another Riptide Rex.
Yugi!
Yugi. Hey, his grandpa's deck does not have any pathetic cards, and Riptide Rex is certainly not a pathetic card. Sedge coming down here.
He can't keep getting away with this. Winding God can't keep getting away with this, man.
I don't know, man. If the Yu-Gi-Oh anime has anything to say about it, he absolutely can.
Why can't I have Rex on 8 and then Rex on 9?
Because
Blevins?
you don't believe in the heart of the cards. That's the whole point of the show. Believe in the heart of the cards, and you'll do it.
For some reason, I thought you were going to go way more toxic. I thought you were going to just say that because you don't matter, Cass.
Oh, wow. Wow.
No, it was because I don't believe in the heart of the cards, but I do believe. But I guess I believe for Winding God.
Yeah, I believe that Winding God believes in the heart of the cards.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I believe in the heart of the cards when Winding God is playing that he will always draw the best card available.
Mm-hmm. Even when I don't realize it's the best card, I just know it is. But on Gvuardya's side, debating, is it Yordle Grifter, see what you get. Really not too many other plays.
Ah, you miss again.
Just how about nothing?
Yeah, there's a lot of good cards you can take too, like Riptide Rex.
Well, unlikely to get a Riptide Rex because there's two in hand, but it's still possible. I think Winding God debating here, does he just want to warning shot Citrus Courier? It's not terrible, I don't think. Puts on a decent amount of pressure. Oh, that's a leveled up Sedge.
Yeah. And he's got another warning shot to activate it. Oh, yeah. Boy. That gets a little bit dicey here. He actually doesn't need to activate it because he can put Sedge on the left, and there's nothing that's really threatening it on this turn.
Nope.
And then set up for Riptide on the following, and then it just stunts all of Gvuardya's opportunities.
Yeah.
Because the Riptide Rex will likely deal some amount of face damage, and therefore freeze Gvuardya's whole board.
That is correct. And, I mean, the boat can come down, but it looks like, you know, much like many of the Jaws movies where you think you're safe if you're in a big boat. No. This shark is no ordinary shark. It will destroy everything, regardless of how big your silly boat is. This is simply chump blocking, but it's going to do 7 to face. I mean, Gvuardya can warning shot and pilfered goods and hope, but he'll be left with 1 mana. It's not going to do anything against this Sedge. I mean,
do you think Gvuardya should chump the Sedge as well, so that when he does play boat, he can then double flock to remove the Sejuani?
I mean, I think that would certainly be a consideration. the thing is this boat's not even going to come out. I guess. Here's the thing. I don't even know if the Riptide Rex needs to come out. The attack the open attack is probably just good enough, and then follow up with the Rex. You called it, Casa. He got the Riptide Rex for Gvuardya, which actually can be relevant.
It can. It absolutely can. But, like you said, the open might be enough, but also just the open warning Riptide Rex might be enough to really just set this up. I mean, you freeze the whole board. You might actually just deal 3. No, he deals 1, hits across the board. So the Rex can come down in response, but you have to get very fortunate with the hits to stay alive here.
Yeah. So you get, what, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7. So
you want 4 of them in
his
Sedge.
Perfect. 4 into Sedge, and then 1 into Omen Hawk would be perfect.
Right. That'd be perfect hits. Hey. It's doable, right? There are perfect hits. There are outs.
You have to believe in it, Gvuardya. You have to think, no, I'm Yugi. You're merely Kaiba. I am Yugi. I believe in the heart of the cards. But it is certainly possible.
I don't know.
Almost anything short of perfect hits is going to be lights out.
If the Sejuani stays alive, it's over. It has to be 4 to Sedge, and it's not there.
Nope.
Doesn't get there. Oh, is there face damage? Maybe stuns? Because the level up.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Maybe. Because face damage. I don't see if he got any face damage, though. Did he?
He
didn't. He got no face damage. No face damage.
That's just it.
Gvuardya's got to throw the pieces of Exodia into the ocean after this one. Throw the Riptides back
Say
in.
goodbye to Exodia!
Yeah, and Winding God going to take game 1. And I think this is the first game we've seen this deck from Gvuardya lose.
It is. It's on stream. It's the first we've seen. We don't know if Yotsuba beat it. There was a shot.
Right,
there was a chance
possibly
that Yotsuba beat it. But if he didn't, this was the first time that it lost ever in Fight Night, which is absurd. I mean, we see him so successful on this, but the targeted lineup from Winding God is not only good against Ionia PNZ, it actually is good against this list from Gvuardya, which basically is very funny. Lost in the grand finals to Gvuardya, your lineup hard counters Gvuardya's lineup from the previous week.
I mean, that's kind of like the salty run back, Casa. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna beat you, and you specifically. I don't care about anything else. If we play against each other, you're not beating me again. I love it. I mean, I don't think I would say that would be unlikely to be the case specifically, though. I would imagine, a lot of people are probably going to be at least modeling their lineups after the person who just won. So it makes a lot of sense from Winding God's perspective to target that lineup, or at least parts of that lineup.
Yeah, and Winding God has the turn 1 pass, the Rangers resolve once again, which against Gvuardya's deck is so very powerful. Stopping things like Make It Rain, stopping a lot of the other removal available, anything from Twisted Fate, red card. But Barrel helps out with mitigating that to an extent. It won't, however, stop the Zed on this turn, potentially. If we see Make It Rain in response, then the Rangers Resolve will answer. And Gvuardya will be on all sorts of trouble. Yeah,
the Make It Rain actually just does nothing here. I mean, it does 2 damage to Winding God's face, which is, not irrelevant, and it will get some triggers towards Swain.
Yeah, and it enables you to play Black Market Merchant. I mean, you always play it here. I think maybe Gvuardya, maybe he huge brains this. He knows that Rangers Resolve is an option, and he knows this Zed is a problem. This is heads up. I mean, this is very heads up.
Yeah, I mean, this makes a lot of sense, right?
It does, yeah.
The Make It Rain is theoretically higher value if it resolves, but the Noxian Fervor is going to resolve, right? There is no 1 mana spell to counter this from Winding God. There is a 1 mana spell to counter the Make It Rain, and the Make It Rain's still there. And, you know, potentially can get the value later on, but really heads up play from Gvuardya there to be able to know, hey, you know what? I need to just take the slightly less overall powerful play and just take the very consistently good play.
He would have probably lost the game on the spot had he gone for Make It Rain.
Certainly would not have been good.
The how big of a swing it would have been with the Zed pushing damage, either leveling there or still getting the stack, getting a bunch of damage in. It would have been incredibly tough for him to come back. Instead, Gvuardya takes the play. He says, okay, this is, you know, less good if he's not on resolve. Obviously, it would be a blowout for me if he was not on resolve and I play this. I'll very easily start to take this game, but I immediately lose if I don't. And the Noxian Fervor is pretty good. It's good enough here. I've got a good enough board to defend. This is all good. I've got Petty Officer on the follow-up to start refilling. Everything works out okay for me in that event. So, looks good for Gvuardya. Potentially can even go for a Make It Rain on this turn. Try and force out the Ranger's Resolve on defense. Yeah. And if it doesn't force it out, he gets good trades. Sides against it. I kind of liked it there, but I think holding on to it is still okay. I like it in a low pressure situation like that, where if Ranger's Resolve comes out, you aren't just blown out of the water.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure where this Make It Rain makes it into this game, because I agree with you there. Like it was very medium there. It was very low risk, notably, right? We would have seen it happen, which, I mean, again, that's a 2 mana for 1 mana trade. These are the types of very little incremental things that Winding God does to get the advantage here. And here it's not terrible, right? Like it's essentially the same as it was last turn.
The difference here, the key difference, and the reason why I wanted it on last turn, is if he plays it on this turn, then we see the Ranger's Resolve, and now the Poro is also now an obsolete blocker.
Yep.
Also, the trade-ups that Winding God can get with his Laurent Protégé become better as well. So this becomes a lot worse. And yeah, I mean, the Ranger's Resolve still gets to come down, even though it doesn't end up hitting onto Bertrand there, but still.
I think because of the Bannerman and the Jenny, I mean, and actually the Relentless Pursuit. So because of all of the cards in Winding God's hand right now, he wanted to use it there. But I think because the Make It Rain actually missed the Grizzled Ranger, it's possible he could have just let it resolve. I don't think he does anyway, but I think it's possible. And then it's like, okay, Gvuardya says, okay, he definitely doesn't have Ranger's Resolve now, so I can use something like a Make It Rain more aggressively. But, you know, Winding God doesn't take that line. I think, you know, correctly.
This not leading with TF may get punished very heavily by a Bannerman here.
Yep.
And it looks like that's the decision from Winding God. And yeah, now the red card does not have value.
Yeah, are you on just like blue card here? Like gold card, I guess, you know, essentially kills half of the Grizzled Ranger, which is not bad.
Right. And then
we are likely going to, I think we're probably going to see Relentless Pursuit here, but maybe not. You could see the mana banked and then Quinn come
just
out
wait for the Jenny turn.
Yeah, or the Jenny turn. You know, Jenny or Quinn both work pretty well.
Yeah.
With Relentless Pursuit.
To be fair, these plays that I'm not really, I wouldn't say I'm harping on, but the plays that I'm pointing out for Gvuardya here are not obvious unless you see Winding God's hand. They're not the most obvious plays in the world, but they are optimizations that Gvuardya could make. They are decisions that he could have thought about, and he did earlier on. He did with the Noxian Fervor. He just had a couple misses in a row, just 2 small misses here, that the incremental advantages that Winding God is building off of them has put him in an amazing position to close out this game with this Jenny turn.
Yep. And we're seeing a sad Bannerman. He's got no flag here, and Jenny off the top. It's big. Twisted Fate can come and stun one unit, can stun the Jenny, which certainly is a good start, but I mean, we're going to see scout attack into another attack, or might even just see the scout attack on Gvuardya's turn next turn. Or the Relentless Pursuit, rather.
Right. There's no mana for Gvuardya, so we may see it this turn, even with Jenny stunned. Because there's 2 attacks to come out here, and the challenges are incredibly good.
Yes.
Because you can get value on both of them.
Oof. I mean, is this just...
There is the Ravenous Flock. That can go on to Protege, which does allow for a blocker to stay alive to defend once again.
Yep. Takes 6. Yeah, and he's not blocking there. So yeah, I think
it's not game.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not just game over, but also Winding God doesn't need to cast Relentless Pursuit here. He can just do it next turn if he wants. Which will get even more value because he'll be generating an additional scout attack as well from the Relentless Pursuit. Could also play Relentless Pursuit now just to try to open up space for Quinn.
So there's the rally. This is just going to put... I think this just puts Gvuardya basically out of range of coming back, but it is going to be a Riptide Rex turn, so that's... I mean, if anything can get you back in a game, it's your boy Ready Rex.
It's good old Riptide Flex, and I mean, again, Gvuardya, you need to believe in the heart of the cards and just hope for perfect. I mean, two on each is not unreasonable. But Gvuardya, of course, thinking out the plays as much as possible, because the problem is that even if Riptide Rex clears the whole board, which I'm not good enough at statistics to know if he's favored to do that or not, the follow-up is Quinn, and Quinn open attack presents lethal.
Oh, no. Gvuardya. He didn't believe hard enough.
He didn't believe. You know, we talked about this on previous casts, Casanova, but the faith-based mechanic where you have to believe, and if you believe, it actually works. But it didn't work for Gvuardya. Did not believe enough.
So now he's got Flock. I don't know if he has any card in his deck that saves him from the Quinn, because Valor pulls Rex to the side.
Yep. It would have to be Culling Strike.
Oh, there should be a one of Culling Strike.
There's one Culling Strike in the deck.
Okay.
Fervor would not do it. Yordle Grifter does not do it. That's just it. Open attack.
If Winding God wants to hazard the open attack, he has it, and it looks like that's what he's going for, because it's a scout attack. He can just hazard it, and if he doesn't win now, he might win on the follow-up.
Yep.
That's going to do it.
That is going to do it, and Winding God, 3 weeks, 3 finals, Casa. 3 grand finals for Winding God, and which means we'll be seeing him next week as well.
Winding God still has not missed a fight night. He's played every single one. How long? How long can this continue? How long will he... This is a different lineup, Blevins. Different lineup. Fully different.
And against the player who he lost to in the grand finals last week. And it was... I mean, against a deck that we literally have not seen lose in fight night yet. You know,
he lost twice.
There were some people in chat last week when we were calling Winding God arguably the best player in the world, doing some Keck W's, some lulls in chat. Well, scoreboard. is all I have to say. Scoreboard. Like, not even just in Fight Night, which is unprecedented already, but in previous tournaments as well. Winding God just has shown up and performed so many times. It is, I'm fine with being conservative with the picks here, but it's very hard not to make the pick that Winding God is one of, if not the best player in the world right now.
Absolutely. It's incredibly impressive. I mean, we see people talk about how, Ionia PNC is too good in this format. You can't ban Ionia PNC. He didn't even bring it. He's in the grand finals. What say you? What say you people who have been saying that you have to bring Ionia PNC?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's insane. I mean, you don't need to bring that. You can target it. I mean, the other thing, more so for ladder, but people are saying, this Noxus Ionia, or this Noxus, Shadow Isles deck is super good. Now, we didn't really see it played at all last week either, and I don't think it's really fit for this sort of meta. But we didn't see. Winding God didn't even bring a Noxus deck, didn't bring a PNC deck, didn't bring a Noxus deck. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, and now Gvuardya waits for his opponent in the losers finals to see if he can get another crack at Winding God. Winding God bringing the target lineup. Maybe LORRattlingBones, who also had a similar lineup to Winding God, can find his way all the way through. He's got to get through Yotsuba. And we'll also see Bruised by God versus 4LW. We'll see who the winner is of that. And we'll kick it off with the losers semis. But so far, we've seen some outstanding games from Winding God.
Mm-hmm.
Yet again, pushing all the way to the top.
Yeah, we're at the very beginning of Fight Nights, having this only being the third one, but it's already unprecedented to be at 3 straight Fight Nights, let alone we're going to be seeing him next week in the 4th straight Fight Night. 100% return rate for Winding God. So, and this is on top of the many DORs and mostly DORs that Winding God has been playing in and has been winning. We saw 3 wins in a row, 4 grand finals in a row for him in DORs.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And again, we'll see him again in this final, but we'll be back with the losers semis in just a minute, guys. There will be plenty more Legends of Runeterra action here on GiantSlayerTV after a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 5. Welcome back to Giant Slayer's Fight Night Legends. We're going in, once again, this is a loser's bracket match between Bruised by God and 4LW to see who will be moving on to the loser's semis, which we will catch right after this. So, BBG has, it looks like a bit of a board advantage. He is running the Braum Swain. He is going up against Karma Ez.
Yeah, I mean, we see a pumped up Braum, a boat, and a Swain on board for BBG. So without knowing anything else, I have to think that he's at least a little bit favored here. Looks like he is currently attacking as well. At a healthy life total. I don't see any leveled up champs from 4LW. So certainly has to be a pretty good spot for BBG, but that being said, you know, the Karma Ez deck can win out of nowhere.
Karma Ez can find